Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Everyone's job change. Halo Master, I am a forbidden area. Chapter 1. Aura Master. It's actually Aura Master. Hiss. He is actually the Aura Master, who is the strongest auxiliary profession. He is so powerful. And it's a hidden profession. It's a sure thing to enter Kyushu University. And Yang is so strong, he is indeed worthy of being the academic champion of our number 3 middle school. Yes, I thought before that Yang was likely to awaken a hidden profession. Now it turns out that it is indeed the case. It's a pity that it's an auxiliary profession. It would be great if it was a combat profession. Haha, what's wrong with the auxiliary professions? They are more popular than the combat professions. Especially Aura Master. This is a must-have profession for large-scale dungeon wasteland exploration. Quote. In the square of No. 3 high school in the deserted ancient city, a young man with a wealth of energy stood on the high platform with his hands bluffing. A golden aura is spreading and flowing like ocean waves at your feet. Aura, a 6-pointed star in the sky above your head, reflects the entire sky. The vision flickers over the entire ancient city, lasting for a long time. The officials in charge of awakening on the high platform and the accompanying teachers looked at this scene in shock, with their mouths wide open for a long time. The students below who were waiting to awaken or had already awakened were in an instant uproar. Everyone's face turned red with excitement, looking at the figure on the high platform with envy or jealousy. Many girls are even shy and timid. The only thing they have in common is that their eyes are so hot that they seem to be eager to pounce on them. Hidden profession, it is really a hidden profession. The first person to come to his senses was Wang Sikao, the head teacher of Class 1. His face was red and his mouth was trembling with excitement, and he could not speak clearly. Although I was very optimistic about this academic master early on and speculated that he might awaken a hidden profession. But when this scene really happened, it was inevitable that I would tremble with excitement. In this world where everyone changes jobs, career is deeply linked to strength and status. The hidden profession is the best among them, and its status is naturally superior to others. The appearance of a hidden professional in the class is of great benefit to both the school and the teachers. He also gets a lot of rewards. It's a pity that it is an auxiliary profession. But it is also very good. A trace of disappointment and regret in his heart flashed away. Wang Sikao cheered up and felt like he was getting high. Ha ha ha, hidden profession. It's Aura Master, it's Aura Master. Wang Sikao grinned so hard that he couldn't help it, his face flushed with excitement. I am simply happier than if I had awakened my hidden profession. Aura Master. Sir, has your awakening been completed? Principal Gu Muji appeared on the high platform at some point, rubbing his hands excitedly and looking at the old man wearing a standard robe next to Yang. He asked respectfully. The old man wore a plain white robe with a dark golden flame embroidered on the left chest. This is the symbol of the special department of the Dragon Kingdom, which is responsible for the annual awakening and registration tasks of professionals. His status is so high that even the city lords of every place have to show courtesy. Not yet, don't bother. The old man's eyes also flashed with joy, but he was not as excited as Gu Muji and the others. As a person specifically responsible for awakening, his knowledge is far beyond that of ordinary people. Although there is no one hidden profession, he has seen quite a few. Even though it is also the Aura Master profession, this is not the first one he has awakened. Heaven and earth are in the same circle. This person has extraordinary talent. Maybe he can even awaken his talent. The old man touched the white beard on his chin and said slightly expectantly. What? Can you still awaken your talent? Gu Muji was shocked and suddenly overjoyed. This world is a world where everyone changes careers. Everyone can awaken to their own career at the age of 18. Occupations are divided into living occupations, auxiliary occupations and combat occupations. Life occupations have a lower status due to their low combat effectiveness. Generally speaking, combat occupations have a higher status than auxiliary occupations. But some special auxiliary professions have a status far higher than that of combat professions. Hidden auxiliary professions such as Aura Master can unlock many auras with various effects. Large-scale blessing improves the combat power of teammates, especially on large battlefields. If there is an apex-level Aura Master, it will be easy to double the combat power. And talent is of another kind. The exclusive abilities of apex-level geniuses. Various talents can greatly enhance the strength of professionals. Some talents are even more powerful than professions. For example, there is a strong man with unparalleled talents in the Dragon Kingdom. Originally just a life profession, blacksmith, but he awakened an SSS-level talent. Each time forging is successful, you can increase your own strength by a certain amount. With this talent, this blacksmith turned himself into a statistics monster by crafting equipment. The strength attribute is known as the best in the world, although it does not have various combat skills. However, relying on high attack power, high health, and high strength, he has suddenly become one of the top 10 in Dragon Kingdom's combat power. It's simply unbelievable. Hearing that Anyang was likely to awaken his talent, Gu Muji immediately became excited. An aura master is certainly popular, but if you awaken a suitable talent, the future is limitless. It's just possible. There's never been an accurate measurement of qualifications. No one can say whether talents can be awakened. The old man shook his head and did not answer Gu Muji's question accurately. Just the anticipation in his eyes showed that he was very optimistic about it. Hush, quiet. Gu Muji wanted to say something else, but was interrupted by the old man to signal for silence. Aura Master is an auxiliary profession, not bad. On the high platform, Anyang closed his eyes tightly but took in everything in the square. The aura under his feet kept fluctuating, and his mind also moved along with it. Take a panoramic view of everything in aura from a special perspective. This feeling is very strange. Normal aura master only has one aura on the sole of the foot. The viewing angle is rather limited, similar to the sight of a two-dimensional creature. But he is in the same circle as heaven and earth, two auras, one on the ground and one in the sky. The line of sight receives information from heaven and earth at the same time, merging into a concept of God's perspective. Take in everything. An inexplicable energy in his body kept flickering, making him feel warm and hot all over. My head felt swollen and painful, as if something was about to spurt out. Buzz. And Yang's head was confused, and suddenly something seemed to be expelled from the body. Make him feel refreshed instantly. Wow. The uproar from the outside world woke Anyang up again, and he slowly opened his eyes. Anyang suddenly looked strange. From God's perspective, he clearly saw an aura appearing behind his head. Similar to various Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in previous lives, they look like they have billions of dicks. Awakening hidden profession. Aura Master. Awakening to advanced talent. Divine enhancement. Obtained occupation. Divine Aura Master. When the result of this awakening came to his mind, Anyang was suddenly shocked and his eyes widened. I almost blurted it out. What the hell? What the hell is this? Are you crazy? Why is there still an aura? Heaven and earth are in the same ring. What is this? Heaven, earth and people are in the same ring. Although I don't understand it, it looks awesome. That's awesome. Why don't you take off on the spot? Ha ha ha, Brother Yang is so powerful. Can Anyang take me to level up? Quote. Under the high platform, a group of students were instantly in an uproar. Countless people looked at the scene of Anyang's awakening in confusion, especially those who had already awakened before. Even more sour and jealous, they are both human beings. The gap in awakening is too big. Forget about hiding your profession, there is also a third ring. It's simply too much. Classmate Anyang. On the high platform, the old man looked at aura behind Anyang's head and looked confused. As Anyang opened his eyes, the three auras slowly dissipated. He called out tentatively, "Thank you, senior." Anyang came back to his senses and bowed respectfully to the old man. As we all know, people in this special department should not be underestimated, especially in this world. Originally, awakening is completely random. Anyone may awaken every day during the year of adulthood. But in order to facilitate management, the state still sends people to artificially help people wake up. Just for those who can do this, their strength must not be underestimated. Is this last aura of yours a talent? The old man looked at Anyang's attitude and nodded with approval in his heart. In this position, he is responsible for awakening not only 100,000 but also 80,000 people every year. I have seen many powerful professions, but without exception, these people become extremely arrogant once they awaken to powerful professions. I have almost forgotten who I am, how can I still remember him as an old man? Quote. It's not talent, it's the three rings of heaven, earth and man. And Yang's face didn't turn red, and his heart didn't beat. He denied it directly without hesitation. To advanced talent. As a second-generation student, he has never heard of this level. In this world, the highest talent level currently is SSS, and suddenly he has a supreme level. He suspected that it was related to his identity as a transmigrator. This secret must not be revealed. Three rings of heaven, earth and man. The old man took a deep look at Yang, thoughtfully. But he didn't ask any more questions. When individuals possess the power of transcendent, the control of institutions like the state must learn to relax appropriately. Otherwise, pushing too hard will arouse rebellious psychology, and neither party will have an easy time. Registering a profession is already the biggest concession for the people. Generally speaking, talent, which belongs to a small number of people, will not be compulsorily registered and managed. Of course, if anyone is willing to make their talent level and effects public for national registration, you can get a big reward. Unheard of. Little friend and Yang's future is limitless. The old man thought for a while and seemed to have made a decision. Little friend and Yang, he is old and incompetent. He has a place for recommendation to Liangzhou University. I wonder if little friend and Yang can take it. Gu Muji's whole body was shocked, and he was immediately overjoyed. And Yang, why don't you thank me, senior? Liangzhou University is one of the Kyushu universities. It is also one of the top 10 universities in the entire Dragon Kingdom. It is the sacred land that everyone dreams of entering. Liangzhou is the regional continent where Wanggu City is located. There are not only dungeon secret realms of various levels, but also rare teachers. There are countless resources, strategies, career advancement knowledge, etc. If you can enter these 10 universities, you will be a strong person who will graduate at least level 3 or above in the future. Thank you, senior. However, I understand the kindness of senior. And Yang thanked him again, but refused firmly without hesitation. My goal is Jushao Sacred Land! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. As soon as these words came out, there was a sudden silence on the high platform. Are you crazy? You are an auxiliary profession, how can you pass the Jushao Sacred Land exam? Gu Muji suddenly became anxious, pulled Yang over and lowered his voice to persuade. No matter how good the auxiliary profession is, it will never be as good as the combat profession. There are hidden professions like Aura Master among the auxiliary professions, and there will only be more and stronger powerful professions among the combat professions. Jushao Sacred Land is the only university in Dragon Kingdom, although it also includes auxiliary occupations. But they are all based on combat power. How can an Aura Master compare with those powerful combat professions? The old man was also quite surprised and took a deep look at Yang. Nodded. I'm really looking down on you. This is how young people should be, full of vigor and courage. Even if you can't enter Sacred Land in the end, you should have no problem getting admitted to Liangzhou University. The old man was not angry, but shook his head and sighed. Thank you for your understanding, senior. Principal, you don't have to persuade me, I want to give it a try. And Yang looked at the two of them calmly, his tone firm and confident. Hey, you. Gu Muji had no choice but to think that if he failed to pass the Sacred Land exam, Kyushu University would definitely ask for it, so he gave up the persuasion. Next, Wang Weiner. The old man has turned around. Although his hidden profession is strong. But the awakening of others cannot be delayed, otherwise the task will not be completed if it is delayed for too long. Principal, Teacher Wang, I'm going back first. And Yang said hello to Gu Muji and Wang Sikao, and then left the stage. Go. Gu Muji waved his hand, but Wang Sikao, as the head teacher, was a bit unable to get in the conversation. I just grinned with a big mouth, thinking about what rewards I could get for my performance this year. The materials for the second transfer will be available soon. Brother Yang, 666, can you help me upgrade later? Brother Yang, I am a mage, can I team up with you? Brother Yang, take me, I'll pay. And Yang, if you can help me upgrade, I can do whatever you want. And Yang is so cool. Quote. After walking off the platform, the eyes of the students in the square were even more intense. As if to eat him, a hidden profession. He is also a hidden auxiliary profession, and he is the most popular teammate wherever he is placed. As classmates, those who are near the water and the towers get the moonlight first. If we can establish a good relationship with Anyang, the efficiency of future upgrades will be more than doubled. Anyang smiled and refused one by one. As a transmigrator, it is naturally difficult for a second-generation person to hang out with these classmates. Everyone is familiar with him more because he is envious of his status as a top student. If you really want to say how familiar it is, it's really hard to say. Rejecting the enthusiastic classmates one by one, Anyang quickly returned to the dormitory. After closing the doors and windows to make sure no one was looking, his face became excited. I couldn't wait to open my property panel and go to advanced talent. It sounds invincible. He really wanted to know what kind of effect it had to achieve this level. Name: Anyang. Occupation: Divine Aura Master. Level: LV1 0.00%. Strength: 10. Agility: 10. Intelligence: 10. Equipment: none. Talent: the only supreme level divine enhancement LV1. Skills: Immolation Oral 1, Glorious Oral 1. Simple attribute interface. The three-dimensional attributes are ordinary and similar to most people who have just changed jobs. The profession has changed from Aura Master to Divine Aura Master. The only difference is the talent and skills. Normally, a professional will automatically unlock a skill every 10 levels. If you want more skills, you can only rely on killing monsters and exploding skill books or spending money to buy them. But he was originally from the same circle as Heaven and Earth, and belonged to a special hidden profession. The number of skills is doubled, and you can get 2 skills every 10 levels. There is also a talent that is the only supreme level. Anyang can't wait to click on it to check its attributes. Divine Enhancement LV1. Only supreme level. Effect: the attribute points obtained are doubled for each level, and the skill effect and range are increased tenfold. The attribute introduction was simple, but it almost made Anyang's eyes pop out. The most important reason why combat professions have the highest status is that the attribute points gained after each upgrade far exceed those of life professions and auxiliary professions. Occupations are divided into hidden occupations, rare occupations and common occupations. He used to be an ordinary hidden auxiliary profession, and the upgrading attribute improvement was about the same as that of an ordinary combat profession. It is not even as good as the rare combat profession, and its future combat power is destined to be lower than the hidden combat profession. But once this talent is improved, the attribute points will be doubled every time you upgrade. That will directly surpass the hidden combat profession and make up for the shortcomings of the auxiliary profession innate to the greatest extent. The effect and range of skills are also increased tenfold. This is still a level 1 talent. Anyang took a breath and couldn't believe his eyes. Apart from anything else, these 2 effects alone definitely make it worthy of the supreme talent level. Immolation Oral 1. Causes 300 points of damage plus own attack power per second to all enemies within a 100-meter radius, consuming 10 mana points per second. The first Immolation Aura is one of the few output skills of the Aura Master profession. Normally, the range of Immolation Aura at level 1 is only 10 meters, and the output is only 30 points of damage plus 1/10 of its own attack power. The output is almost negligible, if the initial skill is this aura. So in the early stage, the Aura Master was almost completely useless, and no one wanted to form a team. After all, as an auxiliary profession, there are no auxiliary skills, and the output is useless. Forming a team and bringing him along is just a charity. And with the divine enhancement talent, this useless skill is directly turned into a divine skill. A range of 100 meters is simply an exaggerated range for a newly awakened professional. Long-range professions such as mages and archers are out of reach, and their damage starts at 300. Most monsters within level 10 can be killed almost instantly. My dick explodes, and Yang's face turned red with excitement. With this skill, no matter what kind of auxiliary or combat profession he is, he will be beaten without any discussion. It's just that the mana cost is a bit high. But Glorious Aura can restore mana. Anyang murmured to himself, Aura Master is also technically a legal profession. Aura has a powerful effect and consumes mana. It is no joke. It consumes 10 mana points per second. The role of Aura Master is greatly reduced. The three-dimensional attributes of a professional respectively correspond to the specific combat power of the professional. Each point of strength is 20 points of life, and each point of intelligence adds 10 points of mana. His 10 points of intelligence are equivalent to only 100 points of mana, and the immolation aura can only last for 10 seconds at most. However, as the Aura Master who is in the same circle as heaven and earth, he has two initial skills. If I remember correctly, the other Glorious Aura returned to blue. Glorious Aura 1. All friendly forces within a radius of 100 meters recover 20 mana points per second. Powerful, and Yang was so amazed that there were no words to describe it. Divine Enhancement can only be said to be the only advanced talent. Glorious Aura originally had a range of only 10 meters and could only recover 2 mana points per second. The range is now a full 100 meters, and the recovery point per second has become 20 points. Can keep Immolation Aura permanently turned on and wealthy. Boom! Outside the window, a thunder suddenly exploded. The rumbling sound was endless, as if it was going to rain. And Yang glanced at it casually and didn't bother to pay attention. He released 2 auras with a thought. Immolation Aura is a fiery red aura. Spreading from the soles of his feet, a circle with a center radius of 50 meters was drawn. The fiery red aura flickered slightly, like fire emerging from the ground, enough to burn everything he marked as an enemy. Glorious Aura is a light blue aura that appears in the sky above. Echoing the immolation aura on the ground, a sense of coolness comes over you, refreshing your eyesight. I keenly felt that my mental energy was instantly activated, and the energy I had lost after opening immolation aura was instantly restored. One day and one place, 2 auras, one red and one blue. And Yang closed his eyes, and the familiar perspective of God appeared again. Everything within a radius of 100 meters can be seen clearly, with a 360-degree view from all directions. It gives him a feeling of being in control of everything, which is even a little intoxicating. Hidden. And Yang took a deep breath, opened his eyes and said silently. The 2 auras instantly disappeared, and there was no clue from the outside. But in fact, he kept aura turned on. From God's perspective, the outside world has gradually darkened, and I don't know when the awakening has ended. And Yang took a shower and prepared to rest early. According to tradition, there will be a novice professional trial after the awakening day every year. It can also be seen as the assessment of each professional, and the college entrance examination results will be determined based on their assessment results. Although this kind of trial is generally exclusive to combat professionals, auxiliary professions can also choose to participate. If he wants to be admitted to Jushao Sacred Land, he must participate in this trial. The next morning, Yang woke up early in the morning. I simply washed up, went to the cafeteria to have breakfast, and then went to the trial square of the ancient city. This place is already overcrowded. All those who have awakened combat professions from the 6 high schools in the entire ancient city must participate in the trial. The professionals waited patiently for the trial to begin, while the teachers and principals gathered together to chat. Lao Zhang, I heard that your school has awakened another hidden combat profession this year. Haha, no matter what, you're no. 2 middle school is not bad either. The thunder vision yesterday was probably a strong one among the rare combat professions, right? Ha ha ha, an elemental mage is not worth mentioning. Lao Ji Yu has also awakened a hidden profession. We in Wanggu City are very lucky this year. Maybe we can actually produce a son of sacred land. That's far from it. Auxiliary professions are auxiliary professions after all. They can't be compared, they can't be compared. Buzz. The principals are all old acquaintances, and they are very busy on weekdays. We can meet each other during the annual professional trial. This year, the results of major universities in Wanggu City are very good. Several principals also had glowing faces, and when they met, it was a business exchange. The 6th middle school awakened a hidden combat profession yesterday, which is the best in the ancient city. No, 2 middle school did not give in too much, awakening a rare combat professional elemental mage. Although the grade is slightly inferior, as a leader among rare professions, the combat effectiveness is not necessarily much worse than the hidden profession. In comparison, the Aura Master in the 3rd middle school is a bit unusable. After all, it is only an auxiliary profession. No matter how popular he is, he will never be able to attend Sacred Land. At best, he can only attend a Kyushu University. Just when a few people were talking to each other, there was a sudden vibration between heaven and earth. A light blue hexagram flashed in the trial square, instantly surrounding all the students in the square. The trial secret realm opens in the next second, swallowing up all the new professions like an abyss descending. Then the space fluctuated, and after calmness returned again, the trial square was empty. The trial has begun. Who do you think can reach level 10 the fastest? Haha, you still need to ask. It must be Han Dufeng from the 6th middle school. He is a hidden professional sword soul with amazing combat power. Not necessarily. Lang Shuyao from number 2 middle school is also good, but the elemental mage's output is the most terrifying. That's not certain. Although strength is important in trials, luck cannot be ignored. It's not unusual for common professions to surpass rare professions in the past. Just watch, we'll see the result in 2 days at most. Yeah, how come there is an auxiliary profession that has entered the trial? Aura Master. Why did Aura Master, the hidden profession in number 3 middle school, enter the trial? What, is he crazy? If an auxiliary profession enters the trial field, isn't this looking for death? Quote. The trial started, and the teachers and principals from major universities outside were immediately shocked. The topic shifted to the trial, and names were being entered one by one on a huge screen in the void. Astonishingly, these are the names and professions of all the professionals who entered the trial area. After all entries are completed, they will be rearranged in order of occupation level. Rank 3rd, Aura Master, in the occupation column is not too eye-catching. The surrounding teachers instantly exploded. Teacher Wang, what's going on? How did An Yang enter the trial place? Ji Muji, who was in the middle of a business exchange, felt his heart skip a beat when he heard this. He quickly called Wang Sikao and asked. I don't know either. Wang Sikao broke out in cold sweat on his forehead. It was not that he was frightened by Ji Muji. But what worries me? The place of trial is related to the college entrance examination results of all combat professionals. It is also the fairest and only fair competition among all professionals. Everyone, no matter what their background, you can only bring a novice weapon into the trial area, and rely on killing monsters to upgrade and become stronger. This week-long trial will determine everyone's future. But, this is exclusive to combat professions. What are you doing here as an auxiliary profession? The auxiliary professions have their own assessment methods, and there is no need to enter the trial ground to fight life and death. Unless he wants to go to the sacred land of the sky. Ji Muji's face darkened slightly and he spoke slowly. Interesting, a support profession wants to go to the sacred land of the sky. Zhang Shuiguo, the principal of No. 2 Middle School, took over the topic with a sarcastic expression. Lao Ji, you are a bit derelict in your duties as the principal. Nine Heavens Sacred Land is the highest institution of learning in our Dragon Kingdom. It is responsible for various high-end copies and secret realm development. It only focuses on cultivating combat talents. A support profession also wants to go to the sacred land of the sky. Ji Muji's face was slightly gloomy. Although the 6 high schools in Wanggu City were in the same spirit. But they have never stopped secretly competing with each other, and they never let go of opportunities to ridicule. Maybe someone else will do it. Don't talk nonsense, it's not like Jushao Sacred Land has no precedent for auxiliary professions to enter. Are you talking about the paladin? That's a bug. Who is the Aura Master? Okay, it's too late to say anything now that you're in. Lao Ji probably feels bad, so don't get involved. Hey, this kid is also confused. I just hope he can return safely. As long as he doesn't die, his guarantee is that he will be admitted to a Kyushu University, and his future prospects will be greater than ours. Quote. Several people were talking, and as soon as the last sentence came out, the faces of the people around them turned red and frightened. This is not false, no matter how much the level of the hidden profession is displayed here. A hidden auxiliary profession, especially an auxiliary profession with range blessing like Aura Master. For high-level experts, the blessing is extremely exaggerated. There is no need to worry about leveling up in the future. Naturally, the country will arrange people to help them improve. No matter what happens in the future, as long as he doesn't die, he will definitely not be comparable to ordinary professions like them. In the final analysis, high school teachers and principals are just professionals who have retired because they are too old to fight on the battlefield. For ordinary people, he can barely be considered a strong person, but for this hidden profession, it's a little bit out of reach. Enter the trial place Forbidden Forest number 28. In the place of trial, thousands of people in the entire ancient city were teleported to a forest at the same time. In the center is an open space the size of a football field, and on the outside is a forest composed of towering trees. A reminder sounded in everyone's mind, making everyone understand the situation at this moment. Go ahead, go level up, let's go, let's get to level 5 quickly and then we can go to Crescent Moon Spring to practice. A knight, would you like to find a mage to form a team with a mage who has the initial skill of flame explosion? Archer, let 3 more shooters form a team and focus their fire to kill monsters and sweep everything away. Brother Han, can we form a team together? I know how to play Chinese subtitles. Shu Yao, do you want to form a team together? I can resist monsters. Quote. As soon as they entered the trial area, a group of people took a brief look at the surrounding environment. He quickly started taking action. Some of them had already found their teammates yesterday, quickly formed a team and set off. Some were shouting loudly to look for their teammates. Han Dufeng and Lang Shuyao suddenly became very popular. Countless people chatted with each other and tried to hug their thighs tightly, but the result was obvious. As a high-level combat profession, single brushing is the fastest upgrade. And Yang's eyes flickered without any words. He rushed out of the crowd and headed deep into the forest. It wasn't until after he left that anyone saw Yang's name on the list. Suddenly he was shocked and confused. Yeah, Yang, hidden auxiliary profession or a master. How come the auxiliary profession also comes in? Quote. Leave safe zone. Opening square bracket. Closing square bracket. And Yang walked silently from the teleportation point towards the depths of the forest. After 100 meters away, there was a notification sound. Trial Secret Realm is a man-made secret realm. Monsters of different levels are specially divided into different areas for newly awakened professionals to practice fighting. In order to ensure a certain degree of security, naturally there are safety zones. There are auxiliary professions in the safe area. The high-level formation master has set up a forbidden martial formation. Under normal circumstances, it is impossible to use it. If you encounter any danger, you can be saved by returning to the safe zone in time. Turn on Immolation Aura and Glorious Aura. After leaving the safe zone, Yang suddenly felt a sense of freedom, as if the sea was vast, fish could leap high into the sky, and birds could fly. The 2 auras bloomed unceremoniously, and the angle of view rose to instantly capture everything within 100 meters. 100 meters in circumference, the radius is only 50 meters. It doesn't seem that big, but if you are in a forest where the view is severely blocked, it's a bit big. Normal people can have a field of vision of 20 meters even if the terrain is open, let alone 50 meters. There's something strange. A long-tailed squirrel. With superhuman vision, Yang quickly spotted a squirrel-like monster. With an exaggerated body shape of half a meter tall and a body full of tendon meat, he looks like a kangaroo. But the moment Yang saw it, Immolation Aura also enveloped it. -310. No movement was seen, and a 3-digit damage mark instantly floated from its head. The long-tailed squirrel didn't even notice where the enemy was, so its health bar was instantly cleared and it fell to the ground. Kill the LV1 long-tailed squirrel and gain 10 experience points. Instant kill. Yang was very excited. Although he had already thought of the incredible damage of Immolation Aura after the talent enhancement. But I was still shocked when I actually tried it. The damage is as high as over 300 at the first level. It will definitely kill every ordinary monster within the 3rd level in an instant. The experience bar in the attribute interface also jittered, rising from 0.00% to 1.00%. That means you can level up by killing 100 LV1 monsters. It's cool. Yang murmured, quickly heading deep into the forest. The field of view is the same size as Aura. The enemy will be instantly killed as soon as he sees it. Such a battle cannot be described as massacre. The experience bar is skyrocketing at an exaggerated speed, and it is almost upgraded in just 20 minutes. Even though almost all the time is spent looking for monsters, it is not an exaggeration to say that the fighting time is 0. Too slow. Too few monsters. However, Enyang is still not satisfied with such an exaggerated upgrade speed. With the enhanced immolation aura, the greater the density of monsters that can be killed instantly, the faster they will upgrade. This density of monsters appearing one after another within a radius of 100 meters is simply a waste of his skills. Upgrade to level 2, then go directly to Crescent Moon Spring to kill level 5 monsters. Enyang murmured, his ambition further expanded, and he immediately made a plan. The Forbidden Forest is the Dragon Kingdom's trial secret realm in recent years. Major universities collect intelligence every year to improve its strategies. As a small border town, Wongu City naturally does not have larger news channels. But I still know some basic strategies. For example, Crescent Moon Spring is a sacred land for leveling at low level. There are many devil fish, devil shrimp and other water monsters there. Although they are water monsters, they are passive monsters. If you go as a team, killing them is not difficult, and the density of monsters is very high. It is one of the most popular places to level up. He can take advantage of the fact that others have not yet reached level 5 and go to Crescent Moon Spring to reserve the area, and use the terrifying output of immolation aura to attack the monsters. Kill the LV2 two-tailed monkey and gain 20 experience points. LV1 98.00%, right pointing arrow. LV2 0.00. Attribute points gained 16. Immolation aura 1 right pointing arrow. LV2. Glorious aura 1 right pointing arrow. LV2. Boom. While Enyang was thinking, suddenly a monkey on the tree broke into the aura range. Even level 2 monsters were instantly killed, and the experience gained immediately made up for Enyang's last bit of experience. The experience bar was instantly full, and a series of pleasant prompts sounded. The level has finally been raised to LV2. 16 free attribute points, incredible. Enyang was pleasantly surprised. Normally, the attribute points gained by auxiliary professions each time they are upgraded are lower than those of combat professions of the same level. Even the hidden auxiliary professions are only comparable to rare combat professions. Each upgrade is 8 free attribute points, but the attribute points gained are doubled under the effect of his divine level talent. It jumped directly to 16 points, which was far more than the 10 points of the hidden combat profession. All added to intelligence. Enyang did not hesitate and added all the intelligence. Because Aura Master is an intelligence-based profession, attack is linked to intelligence. Increasing intelligence means increasing attack and mana, and can also increase the damage of immolation aura. The skills have also been upgraded. Enyang murmured, upgrading skills in the early stage is also relatively simple. But if you kill 100 monsters, you will level up. Immolation aura 2. Causes 400 points plus 110% of own attack power per second to all enemies within a 200-meter radius, consuming 15 mana points per second. Glorious aura 2. All friendly forces within a radius of 200 meters recover 30 mana points per second. The range is 200 meters. It's crazy. Enyang's eyes suddenly lit up when he saw the upgraded skill effects. He does not intend to take the auxiliary route, and the effect of glorious aura is negligible. The range of immolation aura at LV2 is doubled, and the output is also greatly increased again. The increase in own attack power is not much, but the solid damage is a full 400. His confidence in overcoming monsters has improved a lot. Level 2. Go directly to the Crescent Moon Spring monsters. I'm afraid I can be upgraded to level 5 in less than an hour. Enyang was slightly excited. His decision was indeed correct. It is said that the fastest upgrade record in history took half a day to reach level 5. He can definitely break the record today. Walk. Just do it as soon as you think of it. Enyang simply identified the direction. He quickly walked deeper into the forest. Enyang, who was busy on his way, didn't know that at this moment, there was an explosion in the trial square of Wongu City. In the trial square of the ancient city, the principals and senior leaders of several major universities were drinking tea and watching the trial progress. They cannot see the situation inside the trial place, but they can see the trial progress rankings of Wongu City and several other nearby cities. The names that were originally lined up quietly suddenly jumped about 20 minutes after the trial started. Someone quickly discovered this situation, and when they took a closer look, their eyes nearly popped out. What the hell? Upgraded. Still auxiliary profession. Hey, did you cheat? You leveled up in 20 minutes, and you're still an aura master. Nah, it's the first time auxiliary profession has been promoted to level 2, and it only took more than 20 minutes. Are you crazy? Han Dufeng and Lang Shuyao haven't upgraded yet, but an auxiliary profession has been upgraded first. Quote. The outside world was in an uproar, and the eyes of a group of principals almost bulged out. At first I felt weird that a supporting profession would enter the trial area, and even laughed at Ji Mu for a moment. As a result, the slap in the face came so quickly, and my buttocks were not even hot yet. This auxiliary profession that they were not optimistic about actually took the lead in upgrading ahead of Han Dufeng and Lang Shuyao, whom they were optimistic about. How is this possible? He is just an aura master. If I remember correctly, the initial skill of aura master is only immolation aura, right? Can this useless skill kill monsters? How did he do that? Lao Ji Yu, tell me, is it your fault? Quote. Several people looked at Ji Yu Muji like hungry wolves, and some even sounded unkind. It is not allowed to bring any external equipment or anything into the trial area, but those with potential and background can't bring equipment. It is normal to develop a few stronger skills. An aura master can level up so fast. I wouldn't believe it if I killed them without outside help. HMPH. If Waterma had this ability, would he still be sitting here? Although Ji Yu Muji was also confused, he became furious when he was questioned. He snorted and said angrily. Quote. Several people looked confused. What Ji Yu Muji said was reasonable. No matter how strong your background is or how good your family is, after all, you are still a first-level professional who has just awakened. The skills that can be learned are limited, and even a low-level skill that can help new professionals improve their strength during trials will inevitably be worth a lot of money. Where can a principal in a small border city afford it? Then what's going on? Zhang Shuiguo's face darkened slightly, and he asked, still a little unconvinced. Han Dufeng is his student. He was originally the only hidden combat professional in Wongu City this year. He was full of confidence in Han Dufeng's results, but now this kind of accident happened just after the trial started. Suddenly he couldn't help but feel less confident. How would I know? Ji Yu Muji rolled his eyes angrily, and was filled with doubts in his heart. An auxiliary profession was promoted to a level in 20 minutes. Such an exaggerated speed simply exceeded his cognition. 3 rings. It should be the reason why heaven, earth and people share the same ring. Just when a group of people were shocked and confused, an old man wearing a plain white robe walked over. A flash of fire flashed in his pupils, and he said thoughtfully. Senior, I've met Senior. Quote. When several people saw the visitor, they immediately looked solemn and stood up to salute respectfully. The person who came was surprisingly the old man in charge of the awakening of the ancient city. No gift. The old man nodded slightly. The profession of aura master is quite special. Although it is biased towards soft support, it cannot be determined by all. In the history of our Dragon Kingdom, there have been many aura masters who were in the same circle of heaven and earth. Their skills changed day by day. Others only had 1 skill, but they had 2. And Yang has the unprecedented 3 rings of heaven, earth and man, which means he has 3 initial skills. Hiss. Following the old man's words, the principal suddenly took a breath of cold air. 3 initial skills. So abnormal. Zhang Shuiguo murmured in disbelief. This kind of thing is simply unheard of for him. Normally, regardless of life profession, auxiliary profession or combat profession, there is only 1 skill at the beginning. This is common sense. You will get an additional skill every 10 levels. If you usually want more skills, I can only study this professional skill book. But Nima, the so-called aura master, actually has 3 times as many skills as others. This is simply cheating. Not bad. The 3 skills, if they are all output type, it is normal to achieve such results. The old man stroked his beard and nodded, with a trace of expectation flashing in his eyes. I'm really looking forward to it. I wonder if this kid will actually be admitted to Sacred Land as an auxiliary profession. HMPH, so what if there are 3 output auras? Although Zhang Shuiguo was shocked, he was still unconvinced. I don't believe his mana can withstand the consumption. I'm afraid he will have to meditate to recover after fighting a wave of monsters. The old man frowned slightly, but he couldn't refute. Aura Master is like this, although the effect is amazing. But he is also a big spender of mana, and his consumption is even more exaggerated than that of the mage. Except for a very few passive auras, most auras continue to consume mana to activate. At high-level aura, when multiple auras are activated at the same time, the mana is consumed as much as splashing water. Otherwise, if this flaw didn't exist, Aura Master would definitely be the #1 assistant. The Anyang in front of him probably directly obtained 3 output auras, while increasing his output. The consumption must be staggering. It's okay when the level is low in the early stage, and recovery is quick even if the mana is low. But after level 5, the total amount of mana increases and it takes several hours to recover each time just by meditating alone. At that time, the upgrade efficiency will be reduced. Haha, an auxiliary profession is an auxiliary profession after all. Thinking of this, Zhang Shuiguo's frown suddenly dispersed. Snort. Gu Muji snorted in displeasure, but was unable to refute. At this moment, another name flashed slightly on the light screen. Han Dufeng, who was originally ranked first but was pushed to second place. The level column jumped directly from LV1 to LV2. Haha, let me just say it. Seeing this scene, Zhang Shuiguo suddenly became even more proud. He raised his head and glared at Gu Muji through his nostrils. In less than half an hour, Han Dufeng will be back in first place. Quote. In the trial field, Anyang had no idea that he had caused such a big commotion. He was walking quickly through the forest at the moment, although he was not deliberately looking for traces of monsters. However, the aura range of up to 200 meters still makes many monsters become dead souls under aura before they can react. Half an hour later, the experience bar has risen to 50%. If I were not in a hurry, I am afraid that the upgrade speed would not be slower than reaching LV2. 20 minutes to level 2 and 1 hour to level 3. The progress shouldn't be slower than others, right? Anyang murmured to himself, but he was not careless in his heart. Although he is auxiliary profession, he will never want to be just auxiliary. Rejecting the auxiliary profession training plan means that he must demand himself according to the requirements of the combat profession. The trial of the secret realm is not unique to the ancient city. Instead, all the cities in the entire Dragon Kingdom are being developed simultaneously. It's just that certain cities are allocated in a secret realm space. But the final result is calculated by summarizing the rankings of all the testers. If you want to be admitted to the Jushao Sacred Land, you must be at the top of all the secret realm trials. Anyang moved forward quickly, constantly killing monsters he encountered along the way. Half an hour later, I finally transmigrated the Forbidden Forest, and my vision suddenly became clear. A spring turned this place into a depression, where half-meter-long fish, shrimps and crabs were hanging out. Immolation Aura. Anyang looked happy and activated Immolation Aura without hesitation. In an instant, a fiery red aura spread from under his feet, instantly covering all the monsters within a radius of 200 meters. Spreading out, a large number of monsters in the Crescent Moon Spring Swamp were instantly surrounded by Immolation Aura. -400, -400, -400, ... Dense numbers of damage instantly floated up, like a pot of water poured into a boiling oil pan. The quiet and peaceful depression suddenly boiled. Puff, 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 ... A large number of shrimps and crabs basking in the sun suddenly turned their heads and immediately headed in the direction of Anyang after seeing the culprit. Even the fish in the water jumped up hard, trying to see who was attacking them. Withdraw. Dozens of shrimps and crabs were densely packed and quickly chasing after them. The movement was simply a fatal scene for a professional who had just changed jobs. Even a hidden combat professional would feel chills running down his spine when seeing this scene. Dozens of level 5 monsters are completely impossible for professionals who have just changed jobs and lack the means to deal with them. But Yang stayed calm in the face of danger, silently calculating the speed of the shrimp and crab and the range of aura. While controlling his speed, he retreated. The shrimp crab monster is a twin monster of water and land, and its speed is not slow at all on land. But after all, with a radius of 100 meters, Yang has enough time to take a walk. Yang didn't start to retreat until they were within 50 meters, always maintaining a distance of 50 meters. Waves of damage are floating on the heads of shrimps and crabs, even if they are level 5 monsters. It only lasted for less than 5 seconds, and it didn't come within 50 meters of Yang until the health bar was cleared. Kill the LV5 magic shrimp and gain 50 experience. Kill the LV5 magic crab and gain 50 experience. Opening square bracket ... closing square bracket. Obtain. Junior Demonic Inner Alchemy. Obtain. Green Clamp Sword. LV2 52.00%, right pointing arrow LV3 0.00%. Attribute points gained 16. Boom. In just 5 seconds, dozens of level 5 monsters were killed at the same time. The experience bar that was only half full was instantly filled up, rising directly to level 3. Add intelligence. Another 16 attribute points were received, and Yang felt happy. I didn't hesitate to add all of it to intelligence, but it's a pity that the skills were not improved together with this upgrade. Awesome. So cool. The monsters in Crescent Moon Spring did not disappoint Yang. He killed dozens of monsters in one go. Moreover, it was a leapfrog kill, and the upgrade efficiency increased by more than 10 times. After killing dozens of shrimps and crabs, in addition to improving the level, I also obtained 3 primary demon inner elixirs. This thing is a material unique to monsters and has a wide range of uses. It is said that the high-level demon inner elixir can be used for artifact refining, alchemy, etc., and is also a material required for many formations, alchemy and other professions. But for most professionals, the most basic application is to summon the boss. Collecting a certain number of demon inner elixirs can recruit bosses of various levels, and you can get rich harvests after killing them. Therefore, the price is quite high, so even if you don't use it yourself, you don't have to worry about not being able to sell it. In addition, a piece of equipment was also exploded. Green Pincer Sword. Ordinary. Equipment requirements. LV1. Attack plus 25. Introduction. Similar to shrimp claws and crab claws, it may not be easy to use. An ordinary level other weapon, the attack is better than nothing. Yang didn't mind it either, so he directly equipped it. Although he doesn't need to go up and kill monsters by himself, the increase in attack can also increase the output of immolation aura. This is a sword that looks like shrimp claws. As the name suggests, the sword is not very easy to hold. If you want to be proficient in using it, you probably need to get familiar with it. But it doesn't matter to him, he doesn't need to use it anyway. Name: Yang. Occupation: Divine Aura Master. Level: LV3 0.00%. Strength: 10. Agility: 10. Intelligence: 42. Equipment: Green Clamp Sword. Talent: the only supreme level divine enhancement LV1. Immolation Aura 2. Causes 400 points plus 110% of own attack power per second to all enemies within a 200-meter radius, consuming 15 mana points per second. Glorious Aura 2. All friendly forces within a radius of 200 meters recover 30 mana points per second. Continue. I took a look at my attribute bar. My strength and agility remained unchanged. But the intelligence skyrocketed to 42. As the main attribute of Aura Master. This means that his attack has also been greatly improved. Closing the attribute bar with satisfaction, Yang looked at the magic shrimps and crabs in the distance outside Immolation Aura. These passive monsters have not noticed the danger yet and are still basking in the sun leisurely. Some are even busy laying eggs. Yang's eyes were shining. This is all by Wawa's experience. Immolation Aura. Off. Yang did not rush to start the attack, but closed Immolation Aura first. He wants to cover as many monsters as possible before turning on Aura. Only in this way can efficiency be maximized. Walking through the habitat of the group of monsters we just killed, Crescent Moon Spring must be a battleground for professionals every year. Every year on the day of trial, there will be a round of baptism, but now after a year of recuperation. The number of monsters here is terrifying. The round of killing just now seemed to have bitten a hole in a cake. And Yang was standing right at the gap. After carefully calculating the distance to the nearest monster and the retreat route, Yang activated Immolation Aura. Boom! In an instant, the fiery red aura enveloped nearly 100 monsters. The dense damage almost filled the screen, blocking Yang's sight. -415. -415. -415. ... 1, 2, 3. Retreat. Countless shrimps and crabs crawled towards him, turning the originally cool swamp into a pool of muddy water. And Yang looked around quietly, counting the time silently in his heart. 3 seconds is just enough time for the monster to crawl within 30 meters of you. Then he started to retreat, 10 meters back. At the end of the 4th second, the monster's health bars were cleared and they died instantly. A level 5 monster with less than 2000 HP can only last for 4 seconds at most. And Yang murmured, with a blood volume of less than 2000. Compared with the 1st and 2nd level monsters, they are already very strong, and even for combat professionals who have reached the 5th level, it is difficult to fight them alone. It is often necessary to form a fighting team of 3 to 4 people to come here to challenge the dense monsters. But to him, it only takes 4 seconds to make a group of people exist. Boom! Nearly 100 monsters were killed, and his health bar instantly soared to 40% from just the upgrade. 2 more times and you can level up again. And Yang murmured excitedly, everything from cleaning the battlefield to finding positions to killing monsters. It's only once a minute, which means he can rise from LV3 to LV4 in just 3 minutes. This efficiency is amazing. And Yang was frightened after a simple calculation and could hardly believe his eyes. Haha, 1st place. The outside world, 10 minutes ago. Zhang Shuiguo looked at the name that was jumping again on the big screen and stroked his non-existent beard with satisfaction. He spoke loudly and pretended not to care. Upgrading from level 2 to level 3 in half an hour is no slower than upgrading from level 1 to level 2. Everyone else looked at Han Dufeng, who returned to the top of the list from 2nd place, and they were all amazed. This is the hidden strength of the combat profession. If the density of monsters in the Forbidden Forest were not too thin, the upgrade efficiency would be several times faster. Haha, the Forbidden Forest is just to let them adapt to fighting. The upgrade efficiency will be faster after leaving the Forbidden Forest after level 5. Yes, with Han Dufeng's strength, he will definitely be the first to arrive at Crescent Moon Spring. By then, he will be far behind Lang Shuyao and Yang. The world itself is like this. The head always occupies 80% of the resources, and it is others' turn to share the rest. It's a pity that our ancient city's strength is limited and we don't have any internal information and strategies. It is said that many teachers from the schools in the Imperial City are involved in the planning of the trial site and have top-secret information. It can't be compared, there's no way. Who made it the Imperial City? ... A group of principals sighed and looked at Zhang Shuiguo with envy. With the strength that Han Dufeng has shown now, it is almost certain that he will be admitted to Jushao Sacred Land. At that time, even the principal and teachers of their school will receive many rewards. Maybe this guy can get some resources to make another breakthrough. If you are lucky and succeed in breaking through, you can go one step further and leave the small border town of Wanggu City. From now on, we will completely widen the gap with them. Especially the principal of No. 2 Middle School, he felt even more mixed emotions. Their school has a rare combat profession this year, and it is also an elemental mage among the so-called noble masters. The combat power is not necessarily worse than that of Han Dufeng, but the resources of the small ancient city are limited. Whoever takes the first step gets to take it all. Now it seems that Han Dufeng is obviously at the forefront. When he goes to Crescent Moon Spring, a place of trial recognized as the sacred land for leveling, you will definitely get the most monster resources and your level will soar. By then, even if Lang Shuyao's fighting power is not weaker than him, he will be completely left behind. The results are much weaker. The rare combat profession itself is slightly worse than the hidden combat profession, and now the results are even worse. It is almost certain that he will never have a chance to join Jushao Sacred Land. At best, he will only be a seedling from JoJo Academy. The treatment seems to be only one step away, but in fact it is a world of difference. Time is also fate. Chen Fan shook his head and sighed, having to accept this fact. He glanced at Zhang Shuiguo with envy, curled his lips and turned to look at the big screen. It's so fast, it's already level 4. Etc. Chen Fan drifted casually and suddenly seemed to feel that something was wrong. Looking back at the big screen again, a golden light flashed. The ranking that just jumped has changed again. First, Enyang, supporting profession or a master Enyang. Hiss, Enyang is level 4. Enyang jumped directly from level 2 to level 4, once again surpassing Han Dufeng to rank first. Quote. Chen Fan could hardly believe his eyes. He rubbed his eyes and took a closer look. The first place suddenly became Enyang again. Jin Cancan's name symbolizes the noble status of being the first, towering above everyone else. The same golden LV4 behind the name is even more conspicuous. Hiss. Chen Fan suddenly took a breath of cold air and his eyes widened in disbelief. The eyeballs almost bulged out. Chen Fan screamed uncontrollably, which made Zhang Shuiguo, who was still immersed in the envious gazes of other principals, suddenly feel a thump in his heart. His instinct told him that it was impossible, but he couldn't help but look up. What the hell, really? Enyang was directly promoted to level 4. How is this possible? Just now I saw it was level 2, why did it suddenly jump to level 4? This is the first place. Nima skipped 2 levels in a row. Is this guy cheating? How did you do this? Principal GU. Quote. The big screen hangs high above the trial square, and everyone can see it when they look up. Naturally, it cannot be faked. The golden name hangs high in the sky. There is no room for them not to believe it. A group of principals had their eyes widened and their mouths almost couldn't close. Everyone looked at Jiyu Muji in disbelief, especially Zhang Shuiguo. The smile froze on his face, and his eyes were full of displeasure. He looked at Jiyu Muji lividly, wanting him to give an explanation. As long as the upgrade of an auxiliary profession is not weaker than that of the combat profession, it doesn't matter if it doesn't upgrade in half an hour. Suddenly, he was upgraded to 2 levels in a row, and it happened to be on top of Han Dufeng. If I don't level up, you won't level up either. As soon as I level up, you level up twice and then push me down. What's the meaning? How do I know what's going on? Jiyu Muji's face was very excited and confused at the same time. He was also confused when faced with Zhang Shuiguo's questioning. Why the hell do I have the ability to sit with you? And even cheat. You go to the trial place and cheat and let me see. Although he was confused, he did not show any weakness when faced with Zhang Shuiguo's questioning. He rolled his eyes angrily and replied. That was a place of trial. Although it was artificially constructed and planned. But it was also created by a group of top experts in the entire Dragon Kingdom. Let's not talk about whether there is any possibility of cheating. Even if it exists, it is definitely not something that a little person like him can do. This, can't be possible. Absolutely impossible. Jiyu Muji argued so righteously that Zhang Shuiguo blushed. For a moment, I didn't even know how to refute. I could only stare at the screen in the sky with bloodshot eyes, and I could only mutter to myself. As if trying to see some flaw in the screen. Look, it's been upgraded again. Hiss. Level 5. Are you crazy? Level up in 1 minute. It's cheating. It's definitely cheating. How long did it take? In less than an hour, you were directly promoted to level 5. The fastest upgrade in history seems to have taken half a day to reach level 5, right? Is the record broken, or was it broken by an auxiliary profession? Quote. Before Zhang Shuiguo could figure out what was going on, a group of people in the stands suddenly exploded again. I saw that not long after the screen jumped to the first place, the column of numbers representing the level suddenly jumped again. Directly upgraded from LV4 to LV5. The eyes of a group of people suddenly turned green, and even the capital of ancient trees could not help but feel uneasy. This Enyang, isn't he really cheating? Otherwise, how could it be upgraded so quickly? The awakening of the Dragon Kingdom has a history of thousands of years, and the upgrade speed record is constantly being refreshed. But no matter how I refresh it, it's not that outrageous. The time is shortened by a full 5 times. In just 2 minutes, a group of big guys in Wangu City went crazy. An auxiliary profession that broke the trial upgrade record in the history of Dragon Kingdom. In just 1 hour, he was promoted to level 5. You must know that Wangu City also has a hidden combat profession and a rare combat profession, which have only reached level 3 at this moment. As we all know, the higher the level, the slower the upgrade. The gap from level 3 to level 5 is much larger than that from level 1 to level 3. A group of principals were dumbfounded. Zhang Shuiguo's eyes turned red as if he was possessed. Staring at the screen, all he could say was, cheating, cheating, etc. This, heaven, earth and people are in the same circle. Is it really so contrary to heaven? The old man in white robe who was responsible for the awakening of the ancient city was no longer calm at this moment. I stared at the results on the screen, my heart itching. I can't wait to get into the trial place to see how Yang does it. With the 3 rings of heaven, earth and man, there must be talent. And the talent level is not low. This boy's future achievements will be limitless. The old man in white robe's eyes shone brightly, and he couldn't help but murmured to himself. The unprecedented 3 rings of heaven, earth and man, plus a high-level talent. He has an intuition that he will definitely create an existence beyond imagination. Such a genius, can't miss it. The old man's eyes flickered, as if he had thought of something. After glancing at the principal who had not yet recovered, he turned around and jumped into the sky. Forming a seal with both hands, a light gate instantly appeared in the sky. He entered it and disappeared instantly. LV4 98.00%, right pointing arrow LV5 25.00%. Attribute points gained, 16. Immolation Oral 2 right pointing arrow LV3. Glorious Oral 2 right pointing arrow LV3. Opening square bracket closing square bracket. In the crescent moon spring, the place of trial, a milky white light rose from Yang's body. The pleasant notification sound also sounded in my mind. Level 5. Yang was overjoyed. In just a few minutes. But the swamp area outside Crescent Moon Spring has been completely cleared, and all the shrimps and crabs have died. The level has been upgraded to level 5, and aura has finally been upgraded again. Immolation Oral 3. Causes 500 points plus 120% of own attack power per second to all enemies within a 300-meter radius, consuming 20 mana points per second. Glorious Oral 3. All friendly forces within a radius of 300 meters recover 40 mana points per second. 300 meters range, 500 solid injuries. Yang couldn't wait to look at the new skills. The damage increase was not that big. But for the time being, it's enough. The most important thing is to increase the range again. It skyrocketed to a full 300 meters. Aura, with a radius of 150 meters, allowed him to fly the kite without moving back. Just standing there and masturbating is enough to kill most monsters. There are 16 free attribute points each time you upgrade, and he adds all of them to intelligence. Now his strength and agility remain unchanged at 10 points, but his intelligence has reached 74 points. The attributes have almost surpassed the 10th level of the legal combat profession. If people knew about it, their eyes would probably pop out. Crescent Moon Spring, shrimps and crabs are just appetizers, the demon fish is the highlight. Yang closed his attribute bar with satisfaction and looked at the spring not far away with contentment. This swamp inhabited by shrimps and crabs is just the outskirts. The real monster with the most monsters is the monster fish in the spring. As a monster in the water, new professionals lack sufficient means to deal with it. Therefore, few people go through the thankless task of killing demon fish in the annual trials. Over the years, the number of demon fish far exceeds those of shrimps and crabs. I wonder if immolation aura will reduce the damage done to monsters in the water. Yang murmured and walked deeper along the swamp area. I found a raised stone by the water, stood on it and took a deep breath. Directly turned on immolation aura. Boom! The fiery red aura spread towards the water, directly covering most of Crescent Moon Spring within a radius of 150 meters. -500, -500, -500. Dense amounts of damage floated up from the bottom of the water, and the 500 fixed damage was not reduced. Countless demon fish suddenly boiled in the water, and the fierce demon fish jumped out of the water. Opening its mouth to reveal sharp teeth, it is a low-level monster with little intelligence. After being attacked, you will instinctively attack the enemy. And Yang stood on the stone with his hands behind his back, quietly watching the water boil. While aquatic monsters are difficult to kill, they are also difficult to attack enemies on shore. Even if sometimes a monster fish jumps out of the water and falls on a stone, without the company of water, it loses 99% of its mobility. I could only struggle on the stone and try to bite it, but it was all in vain. There are 6 level demon fish, and there are also 8 level ones. And Yang curiously observed these demon fish, which were higher level than shrimps and crabs. There is more life, with sharp teeth like piranhas. There is no doubt about their attack power. Once they fall into the water, they will be bitten to pieces in less than 3 seconds. It's just that Yang occupies a convenient location, no matter how they struggle. There is only one way to turn it into his experience. Kill the LV6 demon fish and gain 60 experience points. Kill the LV8 demon fish and gain 80 experience points. Opening square bracket ... closing square bracket. Densely dense amounts of experience were received, causing his experience progress bar to skyrocket at an exaggerated speed. Although the experience required to upgrade after level 5 is more than 10 times more than before level 5, his upgrade speed has not slowed down at all. Level upgrade. LV5 91.00%, right pointing arrow LV6 3.5%. Attribute points gained, 16. In just 3 minutes, another milky white light floated from Yang's body. The level was directly upgraded to LV6. Cool. The pleasure of improved attributes made Yang feel comfortable all over, but it was a pity that the loot after killing the monster fish was in the water. He can't pick it up, which is the only drawback. But the densely packed monsters are enough to make up for this, even if there is nothing. The mere gain of experience was enough to satisfy him. A radius of 150 meters is enough to cover the entire Crescent Moon Spring. Countless monster fish had nowhere to hide, so they could only struggle desperately. Those with higher levels can only survive for a few more seconds, and they will eventually be turned into experience. 10 minutes later, the level increased again, raised to LV7. Half an hour later, the level soared to LV8. 3 more hours later, half a day in the trial place. And Yang's level was directly upgraded to LV9. It's level 9. The monster fish in Crescent Moon Spring finally refreshed at a speed that couldn't keep up with Yang's killing speed. The density of monsters has decreased with visible efficiency, and now less than 20 fish are killed in each round. And Yang was so sorry that he had to plan to leave here. Find another leveling place. I originally thought I could reach level 10, but I only reached level 9. This made him a little sad. Yeah, just as he was about to leave, a black shadow suddenly emerged from the bottom of the water. The black shadows, which are more than 3 meters long, are filled with sadness and hurt each and every, -500. But after holding on for more than 10 seconds, there was still no trace of death. Boss. And Yang was startled, then ecstatic. Astonishingly, he had killed too many demonic fish, and now a boss appeared. Beast Core Herring LV10. Command Boss. Life. 94,999 99,999. Mana. 1,000 Attack. 500. Defense. 400. Skill. Closing square bracket. Introduction. The leader boss of Crescent Moon Spring appears after killing more than 10,000 demon fish. There will be special rewards after killing the 10th level commanding boss. As the huge black shadow emerged, the boss's attribute bar also appeared in front of Yang. Looking at the luxurious attributes, Yang couldn't help but feel frightened. The 10th level commanding boss, especially the aquatic boss. For a new professional, it is simply invincible. Even if you gather a group of dozens of people to kill him, it is just wishful thinking. 100,000 lives is enough to scare people away. The super high attack and defense make it even harder for people to break through the defense. What's more, as a boss, he can escape into the water at any time. It is completely unsolvable for low-level professionals who lack the means. There are special rewards after killing. But that's for other people. And Yang looked at the boss's introduction, and his heart suddenly began to beat. The boss has a defense of 400, and he can't break it. But the LV3 immolation aura has a full 500 solid damage but can deal enough damage. 500 per second, 100,000 lives is only 200 seconds, less than 4 minutes. And Yang murmured, staring closely at the black shadow of the herring. From God's perspective, he can clearly see the opponent's position without worrying about being attacked by blocked vision. If he wants to kill this boss, he has a chance. But one must be extremely careful. After all his familiarity points are added to intelligence. After all, it's just a squishy profession with amazing output. This guy's 500 attacks can kill him in seconds with just one touch. Back off, fly the kite. And Yang's eyes flashed and he quickly formulated a strategy. This is a boss. You cannot look at it with common sense and you must keep a sufficient safe distance. Otherwise, once this guy has the means to hit the road or has long-range attack skills, it would be terrible if you were touched. Roar. While Yang was thinking, the beast core herring finally surfaced. The body is more than 3 meters long, and the tail alone is half a meter long. A hazy blue light appeared on the blue fish, and it looked like a large herring. But a deafening roar came out of his mouth. And Yang was caught off guard and felt a roar in his head. I felt sick in my heart, and it took me 2 or 3 seconds to come back to my senses. What shocked him even more was that the herring boss actually climbed onto the shore. The abdomen is squirming like a snake, and the speed is no slower than in the water. Taking advantage of his dizziness, he was approaching quickly. Nima, you are worthy of being a boss. And Yang was frightened for a while, but fortunately he had already retreated 20 meters when he saw the boss out of caution. Back off. And Yang cheered up and quickly retreated again. I conveniently added the 16 attribute points I had just received when I upgraded to LV9 to my agility, and my speed immediately increased a lot. Maintain the same speed as the herring boss and always maintain a safe distance of 50 meters. -500, -500, ... Bright red numbers are constantly floating on the body of the herring boss. Although it has a lifespan of 100,000. But it still inevitably declines at a speed visible to the naked eye. Roar. Perhaps it was the declining life that gave it a sense of crisis. It opened its mouth again and let out a dull roar. And Yang braced himself to prepare for the sonic attack, but this time it was not a sonic attack. Instead, a water arrow spurted out from its mouth and shot towards him like a sharp arrow. Long-range attack. And Yang's pupils shrank, secretly saying something bad, and he quickly rolled around to avoid the blow. He turned over and quickly retreated into the swamp, ignoring the mud. After all, Qingyu is only a level 10 boss with limited means. After entering the swamp, his speed was inevitably affected. And Yang took the opportunity to increase the distance to 100 meters. This is a little relieved. One person and one monster chase each other. With the help of God's perspective, and Yang easily avoids all swamp traps. After getting familiar with Beast Core Herring's attack methods, he completely took control of the battle situation. When the boss advances, he retreats. When the boss retreats, he advances. It has an advantage in speed, and no matter how much Beast Core Herring struggles and changes, it cannot escape the scope of immolation aura. He roared and sprayed water arrows continuously, but it was difficult to successfully attack from a distance of 100 meters. I can only watch my life decrease rapidly, but I can only be helpless and furious. Dying. And Yang was very excited as he watched the boss's health drop rapidly. Killing the boss in a duel without taking any damage is a great achievement for any professional. But he was able to complete it when he was less than level 10, so his temperament was a little out of control for a while. Roar. When the Beast Core Herring boss's health dropped to 20%, it also felt the crisis of death. With a sudden roar, he turned around and ran away, his abdominal muscles squirming rapidly. He jumped up and slapped the ground hard with his powerful tail. He actually jumped directly into the Crescent Moon Spring. Want to escape? And Yang naturally couldn't let go of the duck that caught his mouth, so he chased after it without hesitation. However, from God's perspective, he clearly saw that the boss did not swim away after jumping into the water. Instead, he stayed close to the shore and hid, apparently planning to launch a sneak attack when he got close. How cunning. And Yang smiled knowingly. If it were another person, he might really be capsized in the gutter. But he has a god's perspective, so trying to sneak attack on him is undoubtedly a fantasy. The herring clung to the shore, and he stood still. Just keep immolation aura covering it. -500. -500. ... Damages continued to appear, and after hiding for a few seconds, Qingyu couldn't calm down anymore. He jumped up from the water again and glided towards Anyang. Is there another trick? Anyang was speechless. He could only say that he was worthy of being called a boss. Fortunately, he has always been cautious. No matter how many tricks he uses. After all, it's just a level 10 boss, posing no threat to bugs with an attack distance of more than 100 meters. Life decreases little by little. When it drops to 10%. Qingyu suddenly roared again, and Yang treated it carefully. But he discovered that no attack was coming, but his life suddenly recovered to 50%. And Yang cursed secretly, but could only continue grinding slowly. Fortunately, in half the lifespan, the boss can only delay for 1 more minute at most. On one side, he was flying a kite hard to kill the boss, and on the other side, a young man with a proud face finally walked out from the forbidden forest. Chapter 11. Crescent Moon Spring is finally here. Han Dufeng was very satisfied with his speed. The fastest time recorded in Dragon Kingdom to reach level 5 was half a day. And it only took him less than half an hour longer. This speed is definitely among the best in the entire Dragon Kingdom. Now we have arrived at Crescent Moon Spring and take the lead in occupying this early leveling sacred land. He will definitely be able to leave Lang Shuyao far behind. The first person to reach level 5 can occupy 80% of the resources in the entire trial land. And the whole person, it's just me. The wind god of Handu is shining brightly, his eyes are like torches. He murmured confidently. He was very confident about this. He had seen Lang Shuyao in the Forbidden Forest. Although the mage's output was not low, he was very short of mana. In order to make up for this, generally speaking, it is best for mages to find someone to form a team to upgrade in the early stage. But Lang Shuyao awakened to a rare combat profession, and was born extraordinary and very arrogant. Who would be willing to condescend to form a team with ordinary combat professionals? Therefore, it is destined that the leveling up is not as fast as mine. The first leveling in this trial land, sacred land. It is destined to be his Han Dufeng. By occupying Crescent Moon Spring, I can level up as quickly as possible and strive to reach level 8 within today. Han Dufeng did not stop while formulating an upgrade plan. Quickly walked towards the legendary leveling sacred land not far away. Just as he walked, he gradually realized that something seemed wrong. What's weird? Han Dufeng looked at the empty swamp area with a confused expression. Wasn't it promised that there would be densely packed passive monsters like magic shrimps and crabs here? Why is there nothing? The joy in my heart suddenly stopped, and I came over to practice with joy. The result was the opposite, and the huge gap almost made him curse. How can it be? Han Dufeng looked unbelieving and continued walking deeper into the swamp, trying to find a few magic shrimps and magic crabs. Roar. As soon as we entered the swamp, a strange muffled roar suddenly came from not far ahead. It's different from the roar of lions and tigers, but it's dull and a little bit shrill. There was a hint of fear and uneasiness in the anger, as if some ferocious beast had encountered a huge crisis. What monster? Han Dufeng's body trembled, and a trace of fear flashed in his heart. This monster gave him tremendous pressure just from its cry, as if an unmatched monster was just around the corner in front. Go and see. Han Dufeng hesitated for a while, fearful in his heart, but he was unwilling to retreat. After a little hesitation, I gritted my teeth and decided to go over and take a look, but there wasn't a single monster in Sacred Land, the promised leveling place. It may have something to do with the roar of this monster. He walked forward carefully, leaned around the corner and looked carefully. The scene that caught his eye made his breath stop. Is someone? Han Do exclaimed in alarm, less than 100 meters away from the corner. A young man stood with his hands behind his back, and in the sky in front of him there was a huge fish demon leaping out of the air. He opened his big mouth and roared, spitting out water arrows one after another. The huge body slammed towards the young man, like a mountain bearing down on top. The pressure brought by the 3 to 4 meter long body made him feel as if his heart was being held by a pair of big hands. This is the boss. The 10th level commanding boss. Han Dufeng covered his mouth and exclaimed in his heart, there was actually a person here who was challenging the 10th level boss. Who is he? Han Dufeng looked at the scene in front of him in shock. Sharp water arrows roared towards him. But the young man's expression did not change, his hands were still clasped behind his back, like an expert from outside the world. He just took a step back, and countless water arrows shot into the swamp in front of him without damaging him at all. Boom! The huge body of the fish monster boss slammed to the ground more than 10 meters away. The splashed mud didn't even touch the boy. -500. -500. ... Lines of bright red damage continued to float from the head of the herring boss, and its health bar also slowly and steadily decreased. The herring boss struggled desperately to chase, but was avoided by the young man as if he was leisurely walking. This is Aura, hidden profession Aura Master, and Yang. After a brief shock, Han Dufeng suddenly reacted. It can continuously damage the enemy without any movement. The only one who meets the conditions is the hidden auxiliary profession awakened in their ancient city. It's just that this is auxiliary profession. Han Dufeng's expression was strange, his knowledge was completely refreshed. What about the auxiliary occupations mentioned? A supporting profession can defeat the boss alone, so what does he mean? The boss is going to die. When he was stunned, the blood bar of the herring boss had turned red and black. Death was obviously imminent. A trace of greed flashed in Han Dufeng's eyes, and he couldn't help but feel his heart beat. A 10th level commanding boss, especially a boss that is said to have never been killed before. Its explosion rate must be astonishing. If he can get it, the strength can also be greatly improved, which will also be of great benefit to the subsequent leveling. No. 0.500 damage per second, or it will kill me instantly in less than 2 seconds. I can't afford to offend him. There was a flash of fire in my mind, but looking at the huge injuries floating above Qingyu's head. Suddenly, it was like a basin of cold water that extinguished the fire in his heart, and a cold sweat rose from his back. Han Dufeng decisively put aside this idea of seeking death. The hidden combat profession is certainly powerful, but even though I don't understand what is going on with the auxiliary profession in front of me. But obviously he can't afford it. As a hidden combat profession, his future is bright. You can't commit suicide here. And as we all know, Aura Master's aura is vision. The only way to make a sneak attack is to hide your figure from the sky. He does not have this method for the time being. With twinkling eyes, Han Dufeng wisely chose to take a few steps back. Said he had no ill intentions. On the other side, Yang had his back to Han Dufeng, but he had a panoramic view of everything. Seeing the constant changes in Han Dufeng's expression, he finally chose to retreat. Suddenly he smiled knowingly. Except for Han Dufeng and Leng Shuyao, there will be no one else here at this time. And since it is a man, it is obvious that the other party is the hidden combat professional who has been heard in the ancient city in the past 2 days, Sword Soul Han Dufeng. A hidden combat professional who had high hopes, but expressed awe and submission in front of him. Even Yang couldn't help but feel a sense of achievement in his heart. Roar! The herring boss roared ferociously, with a trace of unwillingness and despair flashing in his egg-sized eyes. As a boss, I never expected to face such a terrifying enemy in my first appearance. No matter how hard it tries, it can't get even a cent of it, and can only watch helplessly as its life gradually empties out. Boom! When the last damage was dealt, the body of the herring boss suddenly stiffened. Then he collapsed to the ground and fell unwillingly on the swamp. Kill the LV-10 Beast Core Herring and gain 200,000 experience. LV-9 32.00%, right pointing arrow LV-10 0.40%. Attribute points gained 16. Immolation Aura LV-3 right pointing arrow LV-4. Glorious Aura LV-3 right pointing arrow LV-4. A milky white brilliance rose, and Yang's level instantly broke through to level 10. Numerous notification sounds sounded in his mind, but Yang had no time to look at it. The blood bar of the herring boss was emptied, and the entire huge body instantly exploded and disappeared into white light. A large area of brilliant brilliance is left in place. Big bang! Yang was ecstatic. This battle did not last long. He looked relaxed, but in fact he didn't relax for half a second. After all, his output was enough, but he was just a squishy. If you accidentally get hit by this boss, you will probably be killed instantly. It wasn't until the moment when the boss was completely dead that he finally relaxed. Looking at the trophies all over the floor, I felt even more ecstatic. Congratulations, senior brother N, for being able to challenge the boss alone, you are so strong. Looking at the gleaming trophies all over the floor, Han Dufeng's eyes almost turned red. But he still suppressed the greed in his heart and just stood in the distance and congratulated loudly. Thanks. And Yang turned around and glanced at this classmate who knew the situation. As a hidden combat profession, he became famous at a young age. But when faced with the fact that he killed the monster first and then killed the boss in front of him, there was no sign of taking action. Even he had to take a high look at it. Senior brother N, please be busy first, I'll go look elsewhere. When we met for the first time, Han Dufeng knew how to deal with the world. In order to avoid misunderstanding and Yang, he did not say much. He simply said congratulations to show that he looked familiar, and then said goodbye. And Yang nodded and watched Han Dufeng go away into the distance. Then he looked at the trophies on the ground. Immolation aura continues to be activated, and the magic shrimps and crabs that occasionally spawn are quickly killed. It doesn't bother him at all. Boss is synonymous with equipment and wealth for any professional. Even the bosses in the trial land have far lower explosion rates than outside dungeons or secret realm. But since this beast core herring was killed for the first time, the explosion rate is also very high. First of all, beast core got a total of 18, plus the ones he got from killing the demon crab and the demon shrimp before. There are already more than 50, and a boss can be recruited again. Next is a full 10 kilograms of herring meat, which can be used to fill your stomach. As a boss, the meat also has enchantment properties, and you can sell it to the chef for a high price after going out. There are still 12 scales. The scales of the 10th level boss are not worth much. Fish bones can be used to make weapons and equipment, but they can't be sold at high prices. Yishu, this is a good thing. In addition to fish meat and beast core, there are also some ingredients from herring. Among them, fish stones are quite valuable. It is said that there is only 1 in 10,000 chance of fish monsters possessing fish stones. It is a bone in the throat below the occipital bone, but it is not an ordinary bone, but a mutated fish stone. It is a material that is in great demand in many professions such as alchemy and medicine refining. High-quality fish stones are worth a lot of money. There was even a fish stone that was sold for a sky-high price of 300 billion gold coins. Of course, the fish stone he got was not very good. It would be considered very good if he could sell it for hundreds of gold coins at most. In addition to these materials, the herring boss also exploded 3 pieces of equipment. Fish intestine sword, silver equipment, equipment level, LV10. Attack plus 122. Critical hit rate 2.5%. Critical hit damage plus 25%. Introduction. The sword resembles fish intestines. It has been incubated in the body of the boss for a long time and is of high quality. Fish scale armor. Silver equipment. Equipment level. LV10. Defense plus 55. Life plus 100. Agility plus 12. Introduction. Light armor made of fish scales, with extraordinary defense. Water repellent beads level 3. Special equipment. Introduction. Invulnerable to all water, immune to the pressure of all water within 100 meters, and walking on flat ground in all water within 100 meters. I'm rich. And Yang's eyes widened when he looked at the attributes of the 3 pieces of equipment. Needless to say, the 2 silver pieces of equipment. Weapons can double his output, and armor can also greatly improve his self-protection ability. If I had had this fish scale armor before, I wouldn't have looked so Alexander when fighting the herring boss. Of course, the most important thing is the 3rd piece of special equipment, waterproof beads. Fire has fire-repelling beads, and water has water-repelling beads. They are all extremely valuable special equipment, which can make the wearer immune to most water and fire attacks. High-level professionals will inevitably encounter various complex environments when exploring the dungeon and attacking the secret realm. Among them, the 5 elements environment is the most common. If there is no corresponding method, law treasure, to deal with it. Combat strength will be greatly affected. It can be said that this special equipment is a must-have treasure for high-level professionals, and its value can easily start at 10,000 gold. His level 3 water repellent bead is enough to be immune to waters 100 meters deep. It feels like walking on flat ground in it, with no difficulty in walking due to water pressure or difficulty in breathing due to lack of oxygen. It can be said that it is enough to cope with most water environments. Sure enough, killing the boss is the fastest way to improve. After cleaning the battlefield, Anyang was overjoyed. After putting on the 2 pieces of equipment, the fish gut sword replaced the previous ordinary iron sword. Then he didn't rush to set off, but opened his attribute bar again. Name: Anyang. Occupation: Divine Aura Master. Level: LV10, 0.40%. Strength: 10. Agility: 38. Intelligence: 138. Free attribute points: 216. Equipment: Fish intestine sword, fish scale armor, water repellent beads, level 3. Talent: the only supreme level divine enhancement, LV2. Immolation Oral 4. Causes 3000 points of damage plus 130% of own attack power per second to all enemies within a 2000 meter radius, consuming 30 mana points per second. Glorious Oral 4. All friendly forces within a radius of 2000 meters recover 250 mana points per second. Freezing Oral 1. Triggers freezing every 3 seconds on enemies within a radius of 500 meters, lasting 1.5 seconds and causing damage 50 times the own intelligence value, consuming 20 mana points per second. Durability Oral 1. All friendly forces within a radius of 500 meters recover 100 points of life per second. Talents have also been upgraded. You don't know if you don't look at it, but you will be shocked when you look at it. Anyang was also shocked by his luxurious attributes. After reaching level 10, he unlocked new skills. As an aura master in the same realm as heaven and earth, the number of skills acquired is doubled each time. I directly obtained 2 new auras, 1 active and 1 passive as before. I was very lucky and got another aura with control and output. But what surprised him the most was his advanced talent. Finally upgraded. Divine Enhancement LV2. Only Supreme Level. Effect: the attribute points gained for each level increase 5 times, and the skill effect and range increase 50 times. 5 times the attribute points. And you also made up for the previously upgraded attribute points. Anyang was surprised and delighted, the only one who came to advanced talent. Still so simple and crude. It has improved several times compared to the first level, and has added 216 attribute points that were upgraded to the 10th level. The skill effect and range are increased by 50 times. His level 4 Immolation Aura's instant damage increased to 3000, and even a level 10 monster could be killed instantly. The first level talent is 10 times, the second level talent is 50 times, doesn't the third level start at 100 times? Anyang was surprised and delighted, this divine level talent is so awesome. Sure enough, he is the only advanced talent that has never been heard of before, and the effect is simply incredible. There are more than 200 free attribute points, which is almost equivalent to the sum of all the attribute points required to upgrade a hidden combat profession to more than 20 levels. His attributes at the moment can only be described as exaggerated. If someone saw him, they might think he was dreaming. 4 ordinary auras, with the blessing of divine level talent, are even more exaggerated than heaven. Immolation Aura, which was originally the most useless, has become an exaggerated existence in seconds. The scope is beyond imagination, with a radius of 2000 meters. It is almost equivalent to the scope of a mini-map. A full 3000 points of solid damage can probably kill all monsters within level 10 in an instant. In the future, it may not even be a dream to directly clear a copy with 1 skill after a few more levels. Freezing Aura seems to have no instant damage, but its effect is even more incredible. Freeze is triggered every 3 seconds and lasts for 1.5 seconds. This means that all enemies within such a huge range can have their movement speed reduced by half, even if they are not instantly killed. If this aura had been here before, he wouldn't have to fly a kite to kill monsters. Just stand and mast RBT and everything will be over. The damage caused by triggering freezing is even more exaggerated, 50 times that of one's own intelligence. With his current intelligence of more than 100 points, even if he didn't use it, it would still be more than 5,000 points of damage. When two auras work together, they can instantly kill all monsters up to level 20. In addition, there are two passive auras, one that restores mana and one that restores blood. Under the influence of the Divine Enhancement talent, 100 lives can be restored every second. Enough to make all enemies despair. The mana regeneration speed of more than 200 makes him not worry about running out of mana at all. Unbelievable. Forgive and Yang himself. Looking at his attribute bar, he couldn't help but observe 3 seconds of silence for his enemies. If we say that although his output was very high just now, he was just a squishy. It's still dangerous once the enemy gets close to you, but now. He dared to say that he could fight 100. With a range of 2,000 meters, I'm afraid there aren't even 10 professionals in the world who are within level 30 who can attack with such a long range. And Yang secretly smacked his tongue. This can no longer be described as perverted. Crescent Moon Spring is finished, where to go next? After closing the property bar, Yang began to think about the next arrangements. The ancient city is just a deserted city on the edge of the Dragon Kingdom. It has an average status and average strength, and there are no great people. The information on professionals in the city is naturally mediocre. It is unusual for one person to reach level 10 from the trial ground in each session. The only leveling sacred land explored is a crescent moon fountain. Maybe anyone knows that there is a higher level leveling in sacred land, but it has not been made public. At least Yang doesn't know. After reaching level 10, he has to explore the rest of his journey by himself. Unlike those descendants of powerful men from big cities who have more complete trial strategies. Even from the moment the job transfer was successful, someone had formulated a detailed strategy for him. Let them advance to a higher level as quickly as possible and get into a better school. But Yang was not a pity, he had already reached level 10 in just half a day. Being 10 blocks away from the fastest upgrader in history is already an unsurpassable achievement. Now the strength has skyrocketed again, with a full 2-kilometer aura range. The so-called leveling in sacred land is no longer a necessary place for him. He only needs to walk casually into the depths of the trial area. No matter how low the density of monsters is, he can definitely guarantee that at least one will be killed every second. Set off. Yang simply cleaned up. There are still some monsters here in Crescent Moon Spring that occasionally spawn. But for him who has already reached level 10, this experience can be ignored. After tidying up, Yang continued walking forward quickly. Passing through Crescent Moon Spring is a grassland area. The 4 auras turn into Yang's god's perspective, and everything within a radius of 2 kilometers can be seen. This feeling is simply indescribable. It gives people a feeling that everything is under control. Like an omnipotent god, Immolation Aura's exaggerated damage that instantly kills everything further enhances this feeling of God. While Yang was enjoying the pleasure of rapidly increasing experience, he didn't know that the outside world was completely exploding at this moment. Level 10 is a watershed. Generally speaking, the lowest level required to enter Kyushu University is level 10. In other words, professionals must reach at least level 10 during the trial before they have the opportunity to compete for places in Kyushu Academy. Once you pass the exam, for ordinary people, it is simply a matter of honoring your ancestors. The school and even the city where it is located will be widely reported and generous rewards will be given. As long as he doesn't die prematurely in the future, he will at least be someone that ordinary people look up to. For trials, level 10 has another meaning. That is to start the intercontinental rankings. When the first level 10 professional appears in the trial land, the whole continent will be notified. And the intercontinental ranking list was opened. All schools in the entire continent could only see the professional trial status of their own city. But after turning on the intercontinental rankings, they can also see the trial status of all other schools in the entire continent. This means that the moment Yang reaches level 10, in previous years, the intercontinental rankings could only be opened on the second day. This time it started in just half a day. In the trial square of the ancient city, a group of principals and teachers looked at the screen in the sky with dull faces. The second-ranked Han Dufeng has risen to level 5, but no one's eyes are on his name at this moment. The one at the top was the auxiliary profession that they had not been optimistic about before, Aura Master and Yang. A golden LV9 hung high in the level bar, making people speechless. Cheating. Absolutely cheating. Zhang Shuiguo's expression was extremely exciting. Even with his strength, he couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed at this moment. He is going crazy. In just half a day, and Yang's level rose as fast as a rocket. That's all before level 5. After all, lower levels require less experience to upgrade. But being able to upgrade at such an exaggerated speed after level 5 is outrageous. In the history of Dragon Kingdom, it was recorded that it took half a day to reach level 5, but this guy actually took half a day to reach level 9. The other principals were speechless, although they also had countless doubts in their hearts. But the ranking on the screen cannot be faked. He is definitely at level 9 when he is said to be at level 9. Facts speak louder than words. Even if you don't accept it, you have to accept it. Boom. Just when a group of people had mixed feelings, a loud noise suddenly came from the sky. At the same time, the golden name on the screen jumped again, and the level suddenly changed from LV9 to LV10. Hiss. It's level 10. Quote. Countless people in the entire square suddenly took a breath of cold air. Level 10. Reached level 10 in half a day. Cheating. This is definitely cheating. The Intercontinental ranking list has started. On the first day, no, the Intercontinental rankings were opened in half a day. Unprecedented. Unprecedented. Abnormal. It's amazing. Quote. As in Yang's level increased to level 10, a loud bang came from the sky at the same time. A crack tore in the air and turned into a golden scroll next to the original screen. The scroll was slowly opened, and the large characters on it were extremely majestic. Kyushu Trial Ranking Yujo. The Intercontinental Ranking. I'm not dreaming. I've really reached level 10. I'm the first to open the Kyushu Ranking. It's our Yujo Ranking. This year's JoJo Ranking was started by our ancient city, ha ha ha. Crazy, crazy. There is still a day when our ancient city will open the Intercontinental Rankings. The auxiliary profession opens the Intercontinental Rankings and breaks the historical record. I must be dreaming. Hey, what the hell are you dreaming about and why are you pinching me? Glory. The supreme glory. Our ancient city has opened the Kyushu ranking list. Ha ha ha. That's right, it's really the Kyushu ranking list. Our Yujo ranking list has started. And Yang ranks first. Second, what the hell? The second place is also level 7. It's only been half a day, but there are already more than 100 people at level 5 or above. Hiss. Han Dufeng didn't even make it into the top 100. Quote. The golden scroll slowly kicked off and appeared in the sky above the entire ancient city. Kyushu Trial Ranking. Below the bold characters of Yujo is the ranking of trialists in Yujo this year. The one ranked first is an Yang from their ancient city. Seeing this scene, the entire ancient city was boiling instantly. Countless people are running around telling each other that no matter what they are doing at the moment. I couldn't help but put down what I was doing, walked out of the house and looked up at the sky. Number 1, Anyang Ancient City Hidden Auxiliary Occupation or a Master LV10 Opener. A purple gold font that symbolizes nobility explains the basic information that opens the Kyushu ranking list. A hidden auxiliary profession from the ancient city, or a master in Yang. Some people rubbed their eyes excitedly, almost suspecting that they were hallucinating. When I opened my eyes again and still saw this scene clearly, my eyes turned red with excitement. This is a collective glory, everyone feels proud. As a member of the ancient city, that name is the epitome of each of them. It will appear in the eyes of everyone in Yujo in this form, and with the end of the trial, the ancient city will be resounding throughout the Dragon Kingdom and Kyushu. Countless people were trembling with excitement and trembling all over. My Wanggu City actually opened the Kyushu ranking list. Over the trial square, a middle-aged figure suddenly appeared. Watching this scene with excitement, I laughed wildly. Ha ha ha, Anyang is the pride of my ancient city. Come here, make Anyang the honorary deputy city lord of our ancient city. Enjoy the status of a noble, a mansion, 100,000 gold coins, and 3/1000 of the tax revenue of the ancient city. The loud voice resounded through the ancient city, and the people below were in an uproar. Countless people were envious and their eyes were red with envy. It's the city lord, Lord City Lord. This reward is incredible. I've just awakened and now I'm the honorary Vice City Lord. The honorary Deputy City Master is nothing. The last item is valuable, 3/1000 of the tax revenue of the ancient city. This is a tax of real money and silver, at least 1 million gold coins every year. Hey, I'm getting rich. I've been working hard all my life but I haven't even saved 10,000 gold coins. This sentence will directly reward me with 1 million gold coins. This is my ability. Do you have the ability to start a Kyushu trial ranking to try? You can also have this treatment. I admire you so much. Jealousy has changed me beyond recognition. It's amazing, it's amazing. We are going to have a big shot in the ancient city. I'm the only one who doubts how he upgraded an auxiliary profession. Don't be upset. I still don't believe it when the Kyushu trial rankings are out. Is it so difficult to admit that others are good? Are you admitting it or not? He is a auxiliary profession, a auxiliary profession. Quote. The sudden appearance of the city lord instantly pushed the atmosphere to a climax. Countless people are jealous and envious, and some are as sour as lemon juice. Some people also raised questions, wondering if there was something wrong. However, he was soon drowned in the saliva of a group of people. After all, the appearance of the Kyushu trial rankings was enough to explain everything. On the trial square, several principals and teachers also had extremely exciting expressions at this moment. There were even more mixed emotions in my heart, but my mentality couldn't help but undergo some changes. The most obvious one is Zhang Shuiguo. As the principal of Han Dufeng, I originally disliked An Yang, who stole the limelight from Han Dufeng. He had been thinking about finding trouble for the past half day, but at this moment he was anomaly silent. The pride of the ancient city. The city lords have come out. This is no longer the fault of Principal San Zongu alone. This is the pride of all of us in the entire ancient city. After a long silence, someone finally broke the silence. The principal of the number 2 middle school said meaningfully, and everyone looked at Zhang Shuiguo. Any fool knows who he is talking about. An auxiliary profession has opened the Kyushu ranking list. Our ancient city has never had such an honor. Someone spoke again, their tone full of appreciation. There is even a kind of da that should not appear on them. Lao Zhang, this is reality. Someone else spoke. Snort. Zhang Shuiguo snorted angrily after being targeted by so many people. It's true that he is the principal of Han Dufeng, but first of all, he is also a native of Wanggu City. There is still some overall perspective. I'm not a fool, do you still need to remind me? In the place of trial, An Yang is really capable of this. That will naturally be the glory of our ancient city. If you can open the Kyushu trial ranking list, I am also willing to give you a gift. Quote. Several people looked at each other and immediately smiled knowingly. At this moment, it no longer mattered which school An Yang was from. Anyway, they all belong to their ancient city, and they can lead the ancient city to receive this honor. That's the idol of them all. The whole city of Wanggu City was shaken, but the shock caused in the entire Kyushu was far greater than that here thousands of times. The sky shook, the space tore apart. At this moment, a golden scroll suddenly appeared in all the cities in Kyushu. The ranking list of Kyushu trialists appeared at a speed beyond everyone's expectations. It descended over every city. At this moment, countless cities across Kyushu were shaking and boiling. What the hell? The Kyushu trial rankings started today. Are you crazy? In just half a day, someone has already reached level 10. It's not unusual to break records, but breaking so many records is a bit exaggerated, right? It's from Wanggu City. Hiss. Auxiliary profession or a master. This record was broken by the auxiliary profession. What? The first auxiliary profession to reach level 10, and it only took half a day. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Is there something wrong with the Kyushu trial ranking? Quote. Countless professionals in all cities across Kyushu were instantly in an uproar. He looked at the ranking list that suddenly appeared above his head in disbelief, and his eyes almost bulged out. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was only the first day, and someone actually reached level 10. Started the Kyushu trial ranking. It's so off the mark. What shocked them even more was that the person who opened the Kyushu trial ranking was actually an auxiliary profession. An Yang. The auxiliary profession or a master must have talent. And the talent level is extremely extraordinary. In Qingchang, Yuzhou, several richly dressed old men stood up suddenly in a luxurious mansion. He looked up at the sky and was shocked. From Wanggu City. My Lang family has a branch in Wanggu City, right? Let's go check and see if there are any clan members who are taking the trial this year. The old man sitting at the head of the table spoke with a solemn expression and gave instructions. Yes, an old man below quickly respectfully accepted the order and left. In Juhua City, Yuzhou, in a similarly luxurious palace, a middle-aged man looked up at the sky with his hands behind his back. His face was slightly gloomy, and everyone else looked at him first. What he was looking at was the second place. Number 2, Fangchen Juhua City Hidden Combat Profession Sitagarba LV8. The never-before-seen hidden professional Jizo was surpassed by a little aura master. The middle-aged man's eyes flickered and he murmured to himself. This scene was really beyond his expectation. Fang Chen, as the legitimate son of their Fang family. His talent is astonishing. Not only has he awakened the unprecedented hidden fighting profession Jizo, he has also awakened his SSS level talent, and his potential is so high that even with his strength, he can't help but be shocked. After the successful awakening yesterday, the entire Fang family was immediately alarmed. Even the ancestor who was in the imperial capital preparing for the 5th turn was alarmed. He spared no effort to spend huge sums of money to use Qinli sound communication to communicate and help him develop a deluxe version of the trial strategy. He even spent a lot of money to find connections in the imperial capital to purchase some special information about the trial land. At such a huge cost, they placed great hopes on Fang Chen. Just hope that he can start this year's Kyushu trial ranking and make their Fang family famous. It was a sure bet, they had analyzed it. I am confident that Fang Chen will open the ranking list within 10 hours and break this record at an unimaginable speed. However, I never expected that something unexpected would happen to this sure thing. He was robbed by an unknown person, and what's even more outrageous is that this person is only an auxiliary profession. This was a bit of a slap in the face and made them feel extremely humiliated. An unprecedented and proud man who had high hopes from their Fang family. Although defeat is uncomfortable, it is not unacceptable, but being defeated by a supporting profession. He suddenly felt a burning pain on his face, as if someone had slapped him hard several times. Let me check, who is this Anyang? The main hall of the Fang family was as silent as the bottom of the sea. After a long silence, the patriarch finally spoke. I would like to see how an auxiliary profession can do such an incredible thing. Quote. Yuzhou Zhongcheng. Anyang, interesting, maybe it's our family. An old man looked up at the sky for a long time, then slowly put down the teacup in his hand. Said with a smile, third brother, please go to the ancient city for yourself. If it matters, such an outstanding clan member should return to the family. A middle-aged man looked solemn and stood up quickly to take the order. Yes, father. He knew that it didn't matter whether they were related by blood or not, whether they were branches of Angia. What matters is whether there is any big background force behind the other party. As long as they don't have a strong background, they are destined to be their descendants. In a minute, he could come up with 100 versions of the Fang family's legitimate son being exiled in a foreign land due to some accident. I believe that the other party will not refuse. After all, they have their Fang family as their backers. It is also a rare help for a proud man. One of the 9 states, Yuzhou has countless cities in its territory. Almost all of them were performing the same scene, and countless powerful families were alarmed. It took just half a day to reach level 10 and start the Kyushu trial ranking. It was really amazing. Especially since the other party is an auxiliary profession. Powerful beings set out one after another to the ancient city, wanting to find out what was going on. By the way, check out Anyang's background so you can formulate corresponding strategies. But outside Yuzhou, it was even more shocking. The sudden opening of the Kyushu trial rankings shocked even the top rank 4 and even rank 5 experts. But since they are not from Yuzhou, they cannot open and view this ranking list. Only a blank can be seen in the ranking list above their city, and the golden ranking list cannot be opened. This makes countless big bosses feel like cats are scratching their hearts. Come here, check it out for me. He can reach level 10 in half a day. This kid must have extraordinary talent. Within 10 minutes, I want all the information of those who have opened the Kyushu trial ranking list. Breaking the record, the time has been shortened by more than half. It's really shocking. Let me check it out. Yujo, if you come, please go to Qingcheng quickly. Come here, the Juhua City teleportation array will be activated immediately. Contact the Chen family and find out who started this ranking list. Quote. In the 9 provinces, countless powerful forces were alarmed. If you have the strength, you can directly activate a private teleportation array and send someone to a certain city in Yujo to transcribe ranking information. Those who are slightly weaker will try to contact their family friends in Yujo to ask for ranking information. For the 3rd time, go to the nearest city of Yujo in person. Find out for yourself. But in the final analysis, they were just a little shocked and strongly curious. The most shocked person at this moment is Kyushu Academy. Not to mention Yujo Academy, they had already sent people to the ancient city the moment the rankings were opened. And other schools are also panicking at this moment. A person who opened the Kyushu trial ranking. To them, no matter which school they are in, they are the top talents, and they spend huge sums of money to compete for outstanding students. It is also a manifestation of the strength of their school in the next 10 years, so it is not to be missed. Countless strong men, with generous promises from the top leaders of the school. They all rushed towards Yujo. And Yang, who was far away in the trial place, never imagined how shocking the outside world would be. He was wandering leisurely at the moment, and wherever he went, countless monsters were instantly killed. It turns into rich experience and flows into the experience bar. The aura range of 2,000 meters is a distance beyond imagination. Far beyond the limits of ordinary people's vision. The damage of up to 3,000 is beyond everyone's imagination. Everywhere you go, ordinary monsters will be instantly killed. Occasionally, you can encounter some elite monsters, but they can barely hold on for 2 seconds. But before any trace of the enemy was found, he was completely dead. This leveling speed is incredible. And Yang looked at the experience bar that was growing at a speed visible to the naked eye, and couldn't help but secretly clicked his tongue. After the trial site passed Crescent Moon Spring, he didn't know where to go. He just walked forward step by step. Entered a map called Birch Forest. The environment here is similar to that of the Forbidden Forest. They are both a forest. The difference is that this is a birch forest, with white leaves falling to the ground and piled up like snow. It affects the line of sight very much for ordinary professionals, and coupled with the increase in monster level. Ordinary professionals are easily at risk, so most schools recommend that junior professionals form a team to level up. But for An Yang, there is no such concern. With a god's perspective of 2,000 meters. Able to see everything in detail. Nothing in heaven or on earth can escape his sight. The monster here is a brown bear-like monster with rough skin and thick flesh level up to level 8. Life in Yang speculates that it should be around 2,000, but I don't know the specific number. After all, with immolation aura's damage of up to 3,000, it's just something that can be touched in seconds. Kill the LV8 demon brown bear and gain 60 experience points. If he kills this level 8 monster with his level 10, the experience gained will be a bit suppressed. On the contrary, it is not as much experience as the experience gained from killing the demon crab and demon shrimp at level 2 or 3. But it doesn't matter to An Yang. After all, upgrading has to be done step by step. Leveling up too quickly in Crescent Moon Spring is a bit of a stretch. It takes a while to find monsters above level 10. Besides, as a place of trial, the strength of monsters is limited. The highest level was only level 15, so there was no point in worrying. Time passed by minute by second, and the birch forest seemed endless. And Yang didn't know how far he had walked. It was getting late and he had reached level 13, but he still hadn't left the birch forest. Just when he was a little impatient with the same environment, a figure suddenly broke into his field of vision. Han Dufeng. And Yang was speechless for a while, and a figure stood leaning against a birch tree 2 kilometers away. Astonishingly, it was Han Dufeng, a hidden combat professional who had met once before in Crescent Moon Spring. Han Dufeng held something like a compass in his hand, sometimes looking at the compass and sometimes looking into the distance. As if waiting for someone. Positioning compass. Where did he get this thing? And Yang was suddenly surprised. From God's perspective, he could easily see what Han Dufeng was holding. It is a special team prop, a positioning compass. You can observe the position and distance of teammates in real time through the positioning compass, which is not too precious. But it's a bit complicated to have this thing in the trial area. And Yang became curious and simply stopped rushing to upgrade. Slowly approaching 1,000 meters, I quietly closed the immolation aura and waited quietly. Han Dufeng is different from him. Not only does he have an extraordinary career, but he is also from one of the big families in the ancient city, the Han family. Now he appears here inexplicably, and what teammates are he waiting for? I'm afraid there is some secret hidden in it. Not long after waiting, and Yang saw a girl in white walking quickly from a distance as the sky was getting dark. Her steps are light and her white clothes flutter like a fairy. When Han Dufeng saw the person coming, he was immediately shocked and his expression became slightly respectful. He stood up and greeted him. "Cousin, are you here?" Han Dufeng looked happy, but then he looked and saw that he was alone. Suddenly I became confused again. "Why are you alone?" The girl in white had a frosty face and couldn't help snorting coldly. HMPH. I was lured away by others. The Fang family spent a lot of money to recruit a large number of people to go to Falling Star Valley. The girl in white was obviously very unhappy and couldn't help but complain again. "A bunch of white-eyed wolves. Huh, then, it's just the two of us." Han Dufeng's face suddenly became sad and ugly. He didn't do much leveling today, he was just waiting to hang out with his cousin. As a result, my cousin also had an accident. Well, just two. This secret realm was discovered by our Lin family last year. We haven't had time to clear it yet. Doubling the experience for the first time is enough for the two of us to upgrade. The girl in white doesn't look very pretty, but there is no other way now. I can only try it with my two siblings. After saying that, she looked at Han Dufeng again, but at this glance, she suddenly frowned. "Your level. Why is it only level 7? The girl in white looked ugly and looked at Han Dufeng in disbelief. His already bad face turned even darker now, and his heart sank to the bottom. Don't mention it." Han Dufeng was a little embarrassed, and he also felt that he was having a hard time hanging around this year. "I didn't grab Crescent Moon Spring, it was swiped by someone else." "Didn't grab it? How is it possible?" This time it was the girl in white's turn to be surprised and looked at Han Dufeng suspiciously. I couldn't help but wonder if I had overestimated this cheap cousin. How could a hidden combat profession be so rubbish? Aren't you the only hidden combat profession in the ancient city? Is there anyone else who can beat you? Could it be that Lang Shuyao? The girl in white looked at Han Dufeng with contempt and asked doubtfully. But then I felt something was wrong. That's not right. Isn't Lang Shuyao a rare professional element mage? It's impossible to upgrade faster than you in the early stages. Han Dufeng touched his nose with an embarrassed look on his face, and even blushed when he looked at his cousin's disdainful gaze. "I wish I could dig a crack in the ground and crawl in." "No. It's not Lang Shuyao, it's Anyang." "Anyang? What profession? How many levels are you at?" The girl in white was thinking about it, but she didn't think of the name after thinking for a long time. "Aura Master. Hidden auxiliary profession. Level, should be level 10, right?" Han Dufeng explained, recalling the scene he saw at noon. At that time, Anyang was fighting against a level 10 boss, and his level would definitely not be low. Now a few more hours have passed, and the level is probably level 10. The auxiliary profession, is it still level 10? It's okay if he doesn't say it. The more he talks about it, the more speechless the girl in white becomes. Looking at him like an idiot, he almost laughed out loud. A auxiliary profession, or a master, has reached level 10. Isn't this a joke? She didn't take it seriously and thought it was Han Dufeng's excuse. I couldn't help but feel even less favorable towards this unfamiliar cousin. If it weren't for the fact that he had a hidden combat profession, she would never invite him to play Secret Realm together. Right, Han Dufeng didn't notice the change in her tone, and suddenly his eyes lit up and he thought of something. That's right, we can invite Anyang to form a team together. With him here we will definitely be able to beat this dungeon. Copy of Secret Realm. Anyang, who was peeping from a distance, suddenly saw that Han Dufeng was sneaking around here and he really had good intentions. And Yang's eyes lit up as he peeked at the screen. For most ordinary professionals, the trial place was like a headless fly. But for ordinary people, they don't really need any strategies. After all, most people may not even be able to reach level 8 after the trial. A crescent moon spring and a birch forest are enough for them to spawn monsters. Higher level maps, secret realms, dungeons, etc. Even if you don't have enough strength, you can tell them the location. They don't have the strength to fight. This kind of local guide has always been exclusive to hidden combat professions or rare professions. Although Yang is not a hidden combat profession, his combat power far exceeds that of the combat profession. Especially now that the scope of aura has been expanded, although the monster spawning efficiency is not low. But who would object to upgrading faster? Dungeons and secret realms have always been synonymous with experience treasures. The density of monsters is larger and more concentrated, and the explosion rate is also higher. There are even extra rewards after clearing the level, which are benefits that are not available on ordinary maps outside. Now that he has met it, he will definitely not miss it. Moreover, didn't Han Dufeng take the initiative to invite him? And Yang's eyes flickered, and he quickly walked towards the two of them. On the other side, Han Dufeng naturally didn't know that his every move was being watched by Yang. He just thought that Yang's strength was exaggerated. He could do 500 damage by beating the level 10 boss at noon. I'm afraid it's even stronger now. If we can form a team with Yang, it will be worthy of several hidden combat professions. It can also make up for the lack of temporary backstabs from teammates. However, my cousin obviously didn't think so and was very disdainful of Han Dufeng's proposal. Deep down in her heart, she already regarded this unfamiliar cousin as a very unreliable person. It was obvious that he had not grabbed the Crescent Moon Spring, yet he could still make up such an excuse. If you're looking for an excuse, just make an excuse. At least you can make it look a bit like it. Even if Lang Shuyao rushed to level 5 and emptied the Crescent Moon Spring one step ahead, she wouldn't be so unbelieving. But he just happened to make up an auxiliary profession. Thinking that she is a country bumpkin, so ignorant. No need, just two people. Even if you can't pass the level, it's better than killing monsters in the wild. My cousin showed no interest and replied coldly. All right. Han Dufeng could only nod sadly when he heard this. Although he was a hidden combat professional. The family is somewhat powerful, but compared to the Lin family where my cousin lives, it is a world of difference. If he hadn't awakened the hidden combat profession and was inexplicably visited by the Lin family. He didn't even know that he had such a prominent relative. Yeah, brother Han, what a coincidence. The two were about to leave when Yang hurriedly rushed over and finally rushed over. Pretending to have met by chance, he looked at Han Dufeng in surprise, and then looked at the girl in white beside him. The white clothes are fluttering, the skin is better than snow, the eyebrows are slightly wrinkled and the lips are as thin as blood. Looking up close, it is slightly different from God's perspective. His appearance is better than what people have seen and heard in Yang's 2 lifetimes. He also has a unique cold temperament that makes people intimidated. Just like Saintess, who is so superior that even looking at it seems like a kind of blasphemy. Who is this? Yang's eyes lit up and he was slightly surprised. But he quickly came to his senses and asked, Brother N. Han Dufeng's eyes lit up when he saw Yang. He was not a fool either. Naturally, it can be seen that his cousin does not seem to believe what he said, and he also knows how outrageous what he said is. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it, but he still couldn't explain it. Unexpectedly, Yang suddenly appeared now. Cousin, this is the Yang I just mentioned. He is the auxiliary professional aura master, but he is extremely powerful. When I reached level 5, he had already emptied the Crescent Moon Spring, and he also killed a level 10 boss in a single fight. Han Dufeng looked happy. The Lin family is one of the 4 major families in Juhua City. Juhua City is the most prosperous central city in Yuzhou. He can establish a relationship with the Lin family, even if he is a hidden combat professional, there will be no harm at all. Being regarded by his cousin as a boastful person who talks nonsense is obviously very detrimental to him. But just at this time Yang appeared. If Yang was brought into the team. Later, my cousin will know that she is not talking nonsense, and she will naturally change her image in her eyes. Brother N, this is Lin Linger from the Lin family in Juhua City, my cousin. Han Dufeng looked at Anyang with a smug look on his face, and proudly introduced. Those who didn't know thought she was his sister. The Lin family in Juhua City. Anyang looked shocked. He could infer that Han Dufeng's identity was extraordinary based on his attitude and his temperament. But I didn't expect that he was born into such a noble family. One of the 4 major families in Juhua City, it is no exaggeration to say that it is the top force in the entire Yuzhou. Even if we look at the entire Dragon Kingdom of Kyushu, it is still a great power. To ordinary people, there is no difference between me and the Heavenly King. Anyang, Ancient City, met Miss Lin. Anyang put away his shocked expression and nodded seriously. Lin Linger glanced at Anyang lightly, and then looked at Han Dufeng suspiciously. Could it be that this guy is not a liar? This so-called auxiliary profession actually came out. Cousin, Anyang is an auxiliary profession or a master, but his output is also very powerful. Do you think we should take him with us? Han Dufeng's eyes moved and he tentatively asked. On the one hand, he was eager to prove to Lin Linger that he was not lying. On the other hand, he also felt that he and Lin Linger might not be able to pass Secret Realm on their own. At that time, the income will be greatly reduced. If Anyang is roped in, then you will be more confident. Aura Master, what are the initial skills? Lin Linger pondered slightly. Let's not talk about Anyang's output. An Aura Master's auxiliary ability is indeed good. If the initial skills are helpful to her, it's not impossible to work in groups. Brother N, what are your initial skills? Han Dufeng looked happy and asked quickly. Glorious Aura, Immolation Aura. Anyang shrugged, looked at the aloof girl, and answered honestly. He is from the same circle as heaven and earth, and has 2 initial skills. Han Dufeng transformed into a microphone and conveyed words like a translator. Glorious Aura, not bad. Lin Linger was slightly happy and nodded. She is a mage and consumes a lot of mana. There is Glorious Aura that can greatly increase her battery life and her combat power. Brother N, we are going to clear a secret realm. Do you want to form a team together? Han Dufeng looked happy, knowing that Anyang had been recognized by his cousin. He quickly opened his mouth to invite. Can. Anyang naturally would not refuse, and nodded and agreed to Han Dufeng's invitation. Join the team. Lin Linger Demon Lord LV9. Han Dufeng Sword Soul LV7. Anyang Aura Master LV13. The 2 looked at the team information habitually. When they saw Anyang's level, suddenly his mouth opened wide and his eyes widened. U. Level 13. Brother N, you are level 10, 13th level. Han Dufeng's eyes almost bulged out. He couldn't help but screamed and looked at Anyang in disbelief. He rubbed his eyes and almost suspected that he had seen it wrong. Aura Master, 13th level Aura Master. Lin Linger's eyes were wide open, and her mouth was open enough to swallow an egg. The cool and noble image just now was suddenly gone. I think Lin Linger, as the direct little princess of the Lin family, can't say how strong she is. But my vision must be beyond 99% of my peers, but I was really shocked at this moment. He was so shocked that he couldn't help himself. He looked at Anyang like a monster. It took him a while to come back to his senses. Luck, just upgraded. Anyang looked at the expressions of the 2 and secretly laughed in his heart, especially Lin Linger. This woman just dragged her like 2,580,000 yuan without even looking at him. Even saying something to Han Dufeng was as if saying a word to Anyang would tarnish her noble image. If he hadn't fallen in love with her secret realm, he wouldn't have bothered to pay attention to her. Level 13. Brother N, are you too perverted? Han Dufeng looked at Anyang in amazement. His expression was extremely wonderful. I knew Anyang was awesome, but I didn't expect him to be so awesome. Leveling up is like riding a rocket. Thinking that I am only level 7. Anyang's level was almost twice as high as mine. I felt ashamed all of a sudden. Level 13, couldn't it be that you have already started the Kyushu trial ranking? Lin Linger thought more, and couldn't help but ask. The shock in my heart was beyond words, and I could no longer care about my cold image. Probably. Anyang is also not sure. The first one to reach level 10 will be able to open the Kyushu trial ranking. In previous years, every session basically had to wait until the next day to start. He made it more than 10 hours in advance. If nothing else goes wrong this time, he should be the one to start it. Holy shit, you're so perverted. I'm afraid things are exploding outside right now. Only then did Han Dufeng react. He could almost imagine how excited the ancient city in the outside world was now. Opening the Kyushu trial ranking. This means that the first professional in Kyushu of the Dragon Kingdom to reach level 10. What kind of glory is this? Aura Master. How did you do it? Lim Linger was no longer calm, and stared at Anyang curiously with her beautiful eyes. When I met him for the first time just now, I thought he was just an ordinary person, only a million points more handsome at most. But now it feels like Anyang's image has become infinitely taller, not just a million points more handsome. His eyes are clear and his temperament is calm. Everywhere it looks like an immortal descending to earth. Level 10. Brother N, have you unlocked 2 more skills? Don't you have 4 auras? Han Dufeng looked overjoyed. For professionals, every 10th level is a watershed. It represents a big improvement in strength. 2 auras and Yang are so perverted. Now that there are 4 of them, wouldn't their strength be doubled? Well, another frozen aura and a durability aura have been unlocked. And Yang nodded, there was nothing he couldn't say. They are just some basic skills, all aura masters know them. It's not a secret. Glorious aura returns blue, durability aura returns blood. Great, with mana and health restored, our combat power can at least double. Han Dufeng was overjoyed. He was a sword soul professional. The mana requirement is not that much, but the melee profession needs to be in front. The degree of danger is greatly increased. If there is an aura that recovers health, his combat power can also be greatly increased. Perhaps, it's not certain that the 3 of us can actually clear that dungeon. Lim Linger's pretty face was slightly red, and she didn't know whether she was excited or happy. He couldn't help but nodded, his beautiful eyes were shining, and he couldn't help but steal a glance at Anyang. It should be fine, let's go. Anyang nodded, still confident in his own strength. Immolation aura, which can damage 3,000 people per second, can instantly kill at least 80% of all the monsters in the entire trial area. Others who are not even level 10 can pass a few dungeons by grouping together. He'll be dead if he can't pass the level. Lim Linger nodded and led the way forward. Han Dufeng took a step slower and stood side by side with Anyang. Brother N, what level is your immolation aura at now? How much damage is it doing? I told my cousin that you had more than 500 injuries and she still didn't believe it. Let her see it later. Brother N, your glorious aura is too powerful, isn't it? I'll be full of blue in one go. Brother N. Anyang glanced at Han Dufeng helplessly. This guy, who was known as the cold and aloof male god in Wanggu City. He turned out to be a talkative and funny person. Along the way, he kept asking questions, and he seemed to be Anyang's little fanboy. Looking at him with admiration, I hope that Anyang will behave well and shock his cousin later. So that I can save my tall image. Anyang chatted about one thing after another, but his attention was actually focused on God's perspective. The 2-kilometer immolation aura gives him a field of vision far beyond that of ordinary people, and he can easily see everything nearby. At the same time, you can also continuously kill some wild monsters that rush into the range, and you can gain a lot of experience. Lim Linger looked cold, but she couldn't help but prick up her ears and eavesdrop when she was walking in front. I originally thought that my cheap cousin was just an excuse for my incompetence, but the moment I saw Anyang's level, she suddenly felt that it seemed real. But an aura master is so defiant, it simply transcends cognition. There is only one possibility, that is, he has an extraordinary talent. He is probably an SSS level talent like the craftsman god Oyeji. Lim Linger thought silently in her heart, pricking up her ears hoping to hear some information. But she was quickly distracted by other information. Kill the LV8 demon brown bear and gain 30 experience points. Kill the LV9 forest scorpion and gain 40 experience points. Kill wild monsters, why are there so many? Lim Linger was a little confused, and the experience tips were refreshed almost continuously. She knew it must have been killed by Anyang's immolation aura, but when did the density of monsters in this kind of ordinary map in the wild become so dense? Anyang is only level 13, and immolation aura is at least level 3 or 4. The maximum range is only a few dozen meters. Even if the range of talent is expanded, it's only 100 or 200 meters to the sky, but the kill prompts are almost non-stop. Doesn't it mean that monsters within 100 meters are constantly being refreshed? Something's wrong. Lin Linger turned her head and took a deep look at Anyang, and her intuition told her that this was definitely not the case. As the little princess of the Lin family in Juhua City, even the strong members of their family had a hand in creating this trial place. Naturally, he knows a lot of information, and the density of monsters in the wild cannot be so high. Unless his aura range exceeds 1,000 meters. Hiss. After a simple calculation, Lin Linger suddenly took a breath of cold air. She was confident that her calculations were absolutely correct, and she even used the most conservative calculations. But this range is too exaggerated, right? It's different to have someone from a big family leading the way. Anyang walked around the birch forest for several hours without getting out. Under the leadership of Lin Linger, he went out in less than 20 minutes, and then passed through a grassland. When we came to a hilly area, we finally reached our destination. This copy is called Mirkwood. It was discovered by my cousin last year, but the time was running out and I couldn't get in, so I recorded it. Perhaps in recognition of Anyang's strength, Lin Linger's attitude became much gentler. He took the initiative to slow down a little and walked side by side with Anyang, and began to introduce the situation of the copy. The dungeon is level 10, and the experience is 1.3 times that of the outside. Counting our team bonus, it should be 1.5 times. According to the calculations of the Lin family expert, the strongest monster in this dungeon should be level 15, and there may be one or more level 15 bosses. If we can successfully pass the test before the end of the trial, we should be able to reach level 15. When the time comes, it should be no problem to get admitted to Jushao Sacred Land. Lin Linger's mood has recovered a lot from being backstabbed by her teammates. She also tried to let go of several skills along the way. According to calculations, Anyang's glorious aura and durability aura have astonishingly high recovery powers, which can fully provide her with unlimited release of skills. For a mage, she knows very well what unlimited release of skills means, even if the combat power is doubled. And Anyang's output is not low. She has never seen a monster along the way. A conservative estimate is that at least a few hundred monsters were killed. We're here, right at the foot of the third hill ahead. Lin Linger shook off the thoughts in her mind, took a deep breath to identify the direction. Looking at the hills in the distance, I was shocked. Finally reached. Anyang was also shocked and looked into the distance curiously. But then he looked slightly shocked. At the foot of the third hill, there is someone. Anyang said in surprise. From God's perspective, he could clearly see that the position Lin Linger mentioned was exactly the edge of his aura. At this time, there were 4 men and 2 women, a total of 6 people who had just arrived. What? Someone? Lin Linger's expression changed, and an ominous premonition suddenly arose in her heart. Let's go. What's wrong? Han Dufeng asked curiously, but Lin Linger pursed her lips but said nothing. It's just that the pace has become much faster. Did you hit a copy? Anyang asked calmly, without much worry in his heart. There are only 6 trialists. If there are monsters in the trial place that can block his output at one time, then among all the trialists combined, it would be difficult to find a few who could withstand the damage of immolation aura for 1 second. No way. Didn't my cousin say that this was a copy that the Lin family only discovered last year? Han Dufeng murmured blankly, but he also thought so in his heart. After all, the trial area is vast and boundless, and this is a level 10 leveling area. The chance of meeting someone is very slim, but I happen to meet someone else at my destination. And it's still a small team. It's them. After climbing over a hill, Lin Linger stood on a rock and her vision finally became clearer. Looking at the 6 people at the destination, my heart finally sank to the bottom. Fang Chen. Lin Linger's face turned pale, and she gritted her teeth and spit out a name. His breath was slightly disordered and he was a bit out of breath. The Fang family, one of the 4 major families in Juhua City. Han Dufeng asked softly, his face becoming serious. Lin Linger nodded, stopped and looked livid as if she was thinking about something. Fang family. Anyang was speechless and looked at the foot of the hill. There are 4 men and 2 women in the 6-person team, each of them is gorgeously dressed and has an extraordinary bearing. At a glance, you can tell that he is probably from a high family background, and the leader is as bright as a star in the night. Wearing a green gown, he held an arm-long staff in his hand. His eyes are like shooting stars, his face is like a knife, his figure is tall and straight, and his whole body exudes an aura of arrogance. We agreed to go to Falling Star Valley, but it turned out that the target was our Lin family's dark forest. Lin Linger snorted coldly and turned pale. She wished she could go down and kill these people. But the opponent has a large number of people, and the leader Fang Chen is said to have awakened an unprecedented hidden profession. The potential is so powerful that it even alarmed the ancestors of the Fang family. She has no confidence in defeating Fang Chen. Moreover, the opponent has 5 teammates, and he only has 1 sword soul Han Dufeng and 1 aura master. She turned her head and glanced at Anyang, looking up and down a few times. Finally gave up the unrealistic ideas in my mind. After all, no matter how strong Anyang is, in the final analysis, he is just a supporting profession. How can I fight with the combat profession? Forget it, cousin, how about we go to Falling Star Valley? Han Dufeng saw Lin Linger's dilemma and was smart. The silence was broken by speaking. Lin Linger was silent and had an ugly face, but she had to give up. Just as he was about to nod in agreement, he was suddenly interrupted by Anyang's voice. Why should we forget it? How can we forget about an undeveloped copy? Anyang didn't wait for the 2 to answer, and walked directly to the foot of the mountain. Before, I had to follow Lin Linger because I didn't know the location, but now I finally reached my destination. How can we allow others to get there first? You, brother N, please be patient. Han Dufeng was slightly startled, and then suddenly became anxious. He quickly chased after Anyang and tried to stop him. There are many of them, and they are members of the Fang family. We can't take them away. What happened to the Fang family? We are still from the Lin family. Are we still afraid of the Fang family? Anyang didn't look back, his expression was calm and unmoved. The copy is right in front of you. Even if Heavenly King comes, I won't even think of snatching it away from him. Quote. Lin Linger was speechless. She was represented if she disagreed with her. But she couldn't deny it. After all, she was also a person who wanted to save face. If she was scared, wouldn't it mean that she, Lin Linger, was afraid of Fang Chen from the Fang family? Hey. But, there are so many of them. What if they want to rob them? Han Dufeng was speechless, his face flushed with anxiety. Although the hidden combat profession is strong, there is no shortage of hidden combat professions. There are 3 of them against 6, and the winning rate is really slim. Want to rob? Just kill Han Dufeng. Lin Linger. Anyang's tone was calm, but it sounded creepy to the ears of the 2 of them. This guy is murderous and will kill people if he disagrees with him. More or less. I can't tell the difference between the big and small kings. Cousin, what should I do? Anyang was already walking towards the other party, and he couldn't stop him. He could only look at Lin Linger eagerly. Follow me and steal my copy of the Lin family. I don't believe he dares to attack me. Lin Linger's expression changed, and then when she looked at Anyang's back, she felt inexplicably relieved. By some strange coincidence, the hot-headed guy actually followed him. Hey. Seeing Lin Linger following suit, Han Dufeng stamped his feet anxiously. But he gritted his teeth and followed him anyway. I'll fight you. The 3 of them went down the mountain. Anyang walked at the front with great momentum. It's hard not to be discovered. Fang Chen glanced at Lin Linger behind Anyang and showed a strange smile. He was not in a hurry to enter the dungeon, but instead waited for Lin Linger to come over as if provoking. It's just that the 2 women and 1 man behind him looked a little ugly, and their eyes were evasive and they didn't dare to look at Lin Linger. Chen Saitong, Wang Xiaohu, you are really good. The 3 of them came to the foot of the hill. Lin Linger looked ugly. Looking past Fang Chen, he looked at the 3 people behind him coldly and snorted. Just wait, my Lin family will never let this matter go. After listening to Lin Linger's words, the expressions of the 3 people suddenly became even more ugly. They even showed a bit of panic. Their strength was not necessarily worse than Lin Linger's. But the family power behind it is quite different. I offended Lin Linger today. If the Lin family really takes action against their family later, then the matter is serious. Young Master Fang. The only young man, Wang Xiaohu, looked at Fang Chen as if asking for help. They were coerced by Fang Chen and had to give in. Now that they have offended the Lin family, they can only hope that Fang Chen can speak for them. Otherwise, I'm afraid my skin will peel off even if I don't die when I go back. Linger, you misunderstood. Fang Chen looked at Anyang and Han Dufeng, and waited until Wang Xiaohu and the others were almost desperate before suddenly speaking. There is an inexplicable magnetism in the clear voice, coupled with the perfect appearance. Anyang had to admit that if Lin Linger was the most beautiful woman he had seen so far, then Fang Chen is the most handsome man besides him. My name is Lin Linger. Lin Linger didn't look good and interrupted Fang Chen's words with a cold snort. Okay, Linger. Fang Chen didn't care at all, his tone was still gentle and his eyes were doting. Those who didn't know better might have thought it was a couple having an argument. Han Dufeng's eyes suddenly flickered, and his eyes moved back and forth between Fang Chen and Lin Linger. It felt like something was going on between these two people. I heard that you made a special trip this time to clear a dungeon for the first time. Aren't I worried about you? I specially found a few people to help. Fang Chen looked harmless and gentle, making the eyes of the two girls behind him gleam. It was like seeing Prince Charming. Snort. Lin Linger snorted coldly and looked back at Han Dufeng. Then he looked at Anyang. The Lin family only discovered this copy last year, and no more than 10 people knew about it. She also learned about it from the guide provided by her clan after she awakened the hidden combat profession this year. Apart from herself, only a few people invited knew about it. Now Fang Chen actually knew it in advance, and it was obvious that someone had betrayed her. Han Dufeng's expression suddenly changed. He never expected that the melon would actually be eaten by him. Cousin, it can't be me, and I don't know the location. Han Dufeng quickly explained that he still wanted to hug the Lin family's lap. But we can't be wronged. Anyang looked at Lin Linger and didn't bother to explain anything. He found out later, and before that he didn't even know that Fang Chen existed. I don't have to worry about the Lin family's affairs anymore. With just one dungeon, I am still sure to pass the level. Lin Linger quickly realized that it couldn't have been done by Han Dufeng and Anyang. He spoke calmly without changing his expression. Hee. Fang Chen glanced at Anyang and Han Dufeng with disdain. Just your two teammates. The smell of ridicule was undoubtedly revealed, and Han Dufeng immediately became furious. However, the status of the two was very different, and he did not dare to refute even if he was angry. Noisy. Let's go. How to enter the dungeon? Anyang glanced at Fang Chen lightly. When the two sides were about the same strength, you need to consider status and background, but when there is a huge disparity in strength between the two parties, strength is the only factor. If he has enough strength, he can ignore everything Fang Chen does. It was as if Fang Chen ignored Han Dufeng. Anyang was so arrogant that Fang Chen's face suddenly darkened. As the direct young master of the Fang family, he awakened an unprecedented hidden fighting profession. Moreover, he also possesses extraordinary talents. He is hailed as the son of Zongxing by the ancestors of his family. There is hope that he can lead the Fang family to a higher level and no longer be limited to Yuzhou. With such a talent, even some elders in the clan treat him with humility. He did not put the young masters and ladies of the other three major families in his eyes at all. Now he is being ignored by an unknown young man. Bold. If you dare to do this, stop talking to the other person, you are seeking death. Secret thunder gun. Fang Chen's face changed slightly, and a young man under him suddenly understood. He roared angrily and stepped forward, thrusting the spear in his hand. The gun came out like a dragon and stabbed directly at Anyang's neck. A rare combat professional gunsmith. Lin Linger instantly recognized the other party's profession, and her expression suddenly changed. Just as he was about to take action, he suddenly looked shocked. It was as if I had seen something incredible. -3,000. Anyang had his hands behind his back, but no movement was seen. Then I saw a huge damage floating above the head of the person who made the move, and the health bar was instantly cleared. Boom. The young man seemed to have been drained of all his strength in an instant, and his body fell straight to the ground. His eyes widened and he still looked like he was asking for credit from his master. What the hell? 3000 damage. Dead, dead. Instant kill. What? Killed instantly after just one glance. Nah, 3000 damage at once. Hiss. Quote. This sudden scene immediately caused everyone around to take a breath. Fang Chen's follower seemed to have seen a ghost, and quickly took a few steps back to look at Anyang in horror. What the hell? Instant kill. 3000 damage. Cousin, did you see that? 3000 damage. Although Han Dufeng knew that Anyang was extraordinary, when he saw the bright red number floating, still almost made my eyes pop out. 3000 damage. Lin Linger was no longer calm and looked at the scene with dumbfounded eyes. The figures floating high and slowly dissipating really scared her. Is this a supporting profession? Lin Linger rubbed her eyes and looked at the team information again. It's Aura Master, yes, but when did Aura Master have such incredible output? SSS level talent. Definitely SSS level talent. Lin Linger's mouth opened slightly and her eyes shone brightly. I was shouting crazily in my heart, almost going crazy. 3000 damage. Impossible. What is your profession? Fang Chen was no longer calm. His face, which had been like a warm spring breeze just now, was about to turn green. He screamed in shock and looked at Anyang warily. With the staff in his hand lying across his body and his clothes as if facing a formidable enemy, he was actually sweating profusely from behind. 3000 injuries, even with his incredible talent and incredible strength, he couldn't withstand it. If he hadn't done it himself just now because of his dignity, wouldn't he be the one lying on the ground now? The more he thought about it, the more he became afraid. Fang Chen's eyes turned red and his face changed. Suddenly he turned around and retreated, no longer caring about grabbing the copy. He didn't even need to save face, he didn't even notify his subordinates. He immediately ran away into the distance without looking back. Master Fang. The remaining 4 followers were immediately stunned. Fang Chen seemed to have used some skill. The figure flew out like a ghost, and disappeared over the hill in the blink of an eye. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.